are go for liftoff in T-minus 30.
It's the Weiliotis podcast.
I like it.
Okay, welcome everybody to the Weiliotis podcast. Now, as you can tell, Tom is not here. I am taking over his position. It is I, Nick Cage. Although, if you're watching this video, you could tell that it's not actually Nick Cage, as good as this impression is. Because yeah, it's really me. I know, I got y'all. It's me, Tom Weiliotis, back with another episode. But before we get into anything, let's obviously bring in my other host, the great Mikey Wheel. What's going on, my friend? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on? I have to say, you do a good Nicolas Cage. You do a better Nicolas Cage than I do. It's very good. But your Nicolas Cage is also a dead ringer for Lorne Michaels.
Oh yeah, you were saying that last time.
Yeah, very Lorne Michaels. Yeah, I think. Okay, say coming up next to audition, Adam Sandler with that voice.
Coming up next to audition, Adam Sandler. Honestly, I haven't heard enough.
I have you.
Hell yes.
Conditional is better.
Yeah, I haven't. I think I haven't heard Lorne Michaels talk enough to really know. But
transition. I was gonna say Lorne Michaels is at the Emmys, which we will talk about.
Yes, we will get to that. Obviously, today we're talking recent Nicolas Cage movies. So if you can tell behind us, I got A Color Out of Space. Mikey's got Willy's Wonderland. We're talking about both of those as well as Pig, which is pretty much his most recent movie. And
Primal.
Oh, and Primal too. Yeah, you saw that. I got to check that out still. But no, it's going to be an exciting episode. I like these ones where we talk about multiple movies, kind of like our zombies episodes, where we get to just hash it out and talk about all these and compare, contrast. But yeah, before that, should we talk about recent stuff or movie news first? Or in this case, the Emmys?
Well, I was gonna say first off, we have to put out our disclaimer just because we're getting a lot of lawsuits sent our way, cease and desist. The Weiliotis podcast has nothing to do with Ray Liotta. It's just the two of our names, Wheel and Weiliotis, put together. So to all of the people who are trying to say that we're trying to use Ray Liotta's name to get famous, it's just a combination of the two of our names. But we probably will have him on our podcast at some point talking about our favorite movie that he did. Tom, what is it?
It's the B movie.
Nice. Perfect setup. We didn't even practice that. Some of the things tonight we might have rehearsed, but that was improvisation.
Yes, I like when I pick up on stuff like that.
Served, and I'm trying to think of sports terms in volleyball. What do you say? Spiked and served?
Served? Yes, definitely served. Spiked? I don't know. Probably.
Pitched and
I don't know
hit.
anything about volleyball.
I don't know anything about sports, and that's why I do a TV and movie podcast.
Exactly. If this were a sports podcast, it'd be over in like 2 seconds.
Sports movies, maybe. I could talk Any Given Sunday. I love that movie.
Oh, yeah, with Mr. Pacino. Yeah, I would that could be some good future episodes. Like either just one specific movie or do like a whole collection of like just basketball movies, just football movies, just golf movies, fuck it.
Apparently, Al Pacino was on the set of a movie he was doing recently, and they kept calling him to stage, and his hearing's been going. So they kept calling him, and they're going, Al Pacino, and he was going, hoo-ha, hoo-ha.
Yeah.
Never even seen that movie, but I just love that impression so much.
Oh, it's so good.
We're gonna see how many impressions we can fit in at the end of this podcast, and then we'll do a top 10 best impressions of our podcast. That'll be a separate video for our 12 Instagram fans.
Yes.
Mom, Tom's mom, our aunts,
Yeah.
your sister,
my aunt's friends. They're all tuning in, baby. Just
we get some likes very quickly. We got a good fan base and a good fan base of other movie podcasts, which is cool.
And honestly, like really shout out to everybody that follows us. Like, because I know like even like you Mikey mainly posts on the Instagram. And we get a lot of likes on there, we get a lot of good support, and we appreciate that. And any amount of support is awesome, you know.
We got 12 downloads last week, which is pretty cool. And this is our third
Yeah.
episode in 3 weeks after taking half a year off. So
Yeah.
this is, and we will point out Tom's moving at the end of the month. So this might be the last you hear from us for a little while. No, next month is October. We're going ham on episodes. We're talking
we are.
all 15 Saw movies, all 48 Halloween remakes. We're talking every horror movie there is.
Yeah, we're not gonna sleep because
No.
we'll be,
I'm
you know,
definitely not going to sleep after watching those horror movies.
no, true. And yeah, it's true. I am moving again. God, if you know, I've moved. This will be like the fourth time in 3 years I've moved. Like I've moved so much, and for good reason. Like it's all good. You know, I'm pursuing different interests. I'm actually moving out to California from Vegas, which is super exciting. So you can probably guess where I'm moving. So
Tom actually grew a man bun and then immediately received something in the mail from California and was like, "We need you here now. You have to come and join the rest of your flock."
yeah, Gavin Newsom. Like right when I grew a man bun, he was like he just could tell. He had his senses go off. And he's like, "Oh, we need another hippie. Come on down."
Vegas Man Buns. Good band name, but I don't think there's a lot of man buns in Vegas. Are there?
You'd be surprised. Like if you go,
Yeah.
to some more, there are like, some more like hipstery areas in Vegas, or like, I guess more or less like there's like clubs, restaurants where it's more, a lot of people my age, younger, who, they all tend to look the same. Like if I'm gonna be honest, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but like, like it's kind of like early 2010s. There was like, everyone kind of looked the same. It was like all like your grandfather's clothing and shit, and like repurposed to look all like cool.
Corduroy.
So,
I think so. This is your fourth move in a few years. You are in your 20s. You are young, and I am old, and I am settled down in
I'm
New
a
England
young
again.
man.
You're young, so go out and enjoy
man.
yourself. Live your life, man, before you're my age and you're past the point. I told my friends the other day. I forget I was talking.
Like you talk like you're like 58 years old. Yeah.
I feel it in my bones. I'm 58. I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was like, I just gave up on my dream of wanting to be like a comedian or anything like that. And they're like, why? I'm like, I don't know. I'm 32. It's too late for me. Like, that's it, man. I'm 32. That's like aging. That's geriatric. I'm gonna go check on my dog real quick.
Sure. No worries.
Do you want to just pause there, or you want to keep talking?
I'll keep talking. Screw it. I'll do a little like I don't know what you call it. I'll talk about what we're gonna go over, I guess.
Okay. He's barking at nothing, so I'm gonna go find out what that is.
Okay. No. So yeah, y'all, we got a good episode today. And yeah, I'm excited because obviously, like Mikey said earlier, this is our third episode in 3 weeks. So every week we've actually been able to record one, which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to stick to a more reoccurring, consistent schedule of doing one a week. Trying to get out on Monday, Tuesday, because those are, the best days to put out podcast episodes, or really anything, really. But today's one, I'm today's episode, I'm really excited about because Nicolas Cage is he's Nicolas Cage. He's unique, to say the least. He's crazy. Like there are so many movies in his filmography that are just wild, and he puts on an incredible performance. And he can really toe the line between being super wacky and also kind of play a straight edge kind of father figure in a sense, so like he has versatility, to say the least. But, he's kind of one of those actors who kind of transcends like even just being a character. Like he's very much like Nick Cage. So even if you watch a Nick Cage movie, sure, he becomes a different character, but at his essence, he's still just Nick Cage. But obviously today we're talking, like I said, Willy's Wonderland, Pig, and Color Out of Space, which are all crazy movies as well, all in their own right. And what's cool is we picked these movies specifically because because they're recent, and that's kind of what this episode is about. And hey, Mikey's back. What's up, Mikey? Welcome back to the chat. Welcome back.
So my dog just needed water, so in about 3 minutes he's gonna ask to go out. But yeah, catch me up. What are we talking about? And I am.
Oh, it's okay. I was just informing everyone about just a little bit about Nicolas Cage, about how, like, I don't know what you'd say, like, enigmatic. Like, he's so, there is no one like him. He's one of those actors that kind of transcends just like sure, like he can play a character and you can believe it, but he's still Nick Cage, and not that it's a bad thing, because like, you know, his personality is so out there and wild, and he kind of puts that into every movie. And
he's not on social media. I like to message very famous people to see if they'll be on our podcast. I tried to look up his Instagram because he seems like one of those people who'd be like, yeah, I'll hop on. He doesn't have an Instagram. So here's a rumor I heard about him recently, and it was a YouTube video, and you can never trust a YouTube video. But it basically said that he's spent so much money in his lifetime that he's in so much debt to pay off everything he spent money on that he just has to accept every single movie that is thrown his way. And I don't know if that's true or not. If it is true, then I'm so thankful for that, because I was texting people this week and I was like, I'm on to my third Nicolas Cage movie in 3 nights in a row. 3 Nicolas Cage movies. I'll just tell you guys. So I watch TV. I'm going to talk about that in a little while. I watch TV and movies all day, every day. I watch in the background of work. I watch it at night. I love TV. I love movies. And every time I watch them, I go, it's homework. It's homework because I'm a writer. I want to write movies and TV. It's homework. I'm just studying. That's all I'm doing. That is, I mean, our homework for this episode was just to watch a bunch of new, ridiculous Nicolas Cage movies, and I mean that is like the best homework ever.
It is.
So
and, like this was one of the more enjoyable episodes to prep for too, because anytime I watch a Nicolas Cage movie, it's a treat, you know.
Yeah, so we both watched 2 of the same movies, and then we each watched a different movie. We'll spend a few minutes on the opposite ones. But yeah, I also want to point out we're both drinking Sam Adams Jack O.
Oh yes.
It's the first day of fall today or yesterday. So, but I've been drinking pumpkin beer for like a month and pumpkin coffee forever. So that's no different. I spoke at a conference today, and it's of course virtual. And the second I got on the screen, everybody was like, "Pumpkin beer, pumpkin Mikey. Mikey loves his pumpkin." And I was like, "Well, they know me very
Everybody
well."
knows.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, and I'm not above it, man. This Sam Adams pumpkin beer is fucking good. And it's funny, when I got this, I tried looking for Shipyard Pumpkinhead. Mm-hmm. Personally, my favorite out of the pumpkin beers. Even though I've only had like 3 pumpkin beers in my life.
I think I like the Sam Adams more. So this year so far, I had the Shipyard, I had the Sam's, and now I'm doing the Sam's again. I saw a UFO pumpkin at the store, which I'm going to try next time. And then, it's super interesting too, which I'm really interested in, is that they have the cans now of everything. So they have like the Sam O pumpkin can. They have the Shipyard can. I've never seen so many things in cans before.
Right.
But it's very exciting.
Yeah, no, the thing that I'll say is the thing I like about the Sam Adams one, it tastes like, that first sip just tastes like pumpkin pie. Like really every sip does, but that first sip, it's just like, whoa, like pumpkin pie.
You are drinking it wrong though. If you're listening to this, you take cinnamon, sometimes brown sugar, honey, even pumpkin spice, and you put it on a plate, and then you wet the top of your glass, and then you dip it around the plate, and then you make the little rim, and then each sip is just. That's how you gotta do it. It's just that's how they do it at the restaurants and bars and everything.
I know. I'm a peasant. I drink out of glass bottles. I don't have no fancy caramel cinnamon sugar rim.
It's the difference between a man in his 20s and a man in his 30s. I drink mine from fine glasses, and I put the spices and accoutrements on top of my glass.
Although I would say, so I've never just made it like that myself, but I did have a Shipyard at a restaurant once where they made it like that. Mm-hmm. Fucking great. It is fucking tasty as shit.
Yeah, it's the best. Yeah. Anybody who has any questions on pumpkin anything, I think the last few days I had pumpkin cheesecake ice cream, pumpkin coffee, pumpkin donut, pumpkin cake with frosting and icing on top.
So basically what you're saying is we should be sponsored by
pumpkin.
By pumpkin.
I have
because we're both from New England and we both have pumpkin, so it's like Sam Adams, somebody sponsored the podcast.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Snuggie pumpkin gel, and then I have the pumpkin spray. I think that's Glade. Yeah, so if the owner of pumpkins, if anybody owns pumpkins in general, can sponsor us.
Did you live in a pumpkin?
Oh my god, to wake up to that smell. My house already smells that way. I have candles. I love pumpkins. We could do a whole. So all right, Tom and I now have 3 podcasts. We have our Weiliotis podcast. Yep. We have a whole other podcast where each week we're going to be talking about Malignant, and then we're going to do another podcast where we just do. It'll be like the Bubba scene in Forrest Gump. Each episode will just name as many pumpkin items as possible.
Oh yeah. Pumpkin Cheerios, pumpkin beer. Yeah.
I have pumpkin Cheerios. I had those this week too. Yeah.
Do
And
it.
the best part about fall too coming back is have you ever had dinosaur oatmeal?
Oh yeah, of course.
I've been having that again. That's like my favorite, like cold weather.
Is it the same as it was when you were a kid?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
same.
cool.
I had Dunkaroos last night too. I got those at Stop and Shop. Yeah.
Everything's coming
Yeah.
back, man. I saw actually like 2 days ago. I saw the dinosaur eggs because right next to it, I've been noticing that who owns like Lucky Charms and Cocoa Puffs? Is it
General Mills?
General Mills. So I've noticed that General Mills is making like other cereal related products now. Like they're doing cereal bars, they're doing like cereal ice cream, and I saw they have cereal oatmeal, which is like that's what oatmeal is. It's cereal essentially. So it's like I don't even know, but like they have Cocoa Puffs oatmeal, they have Lucky Charms oatmeal, and I'm like, all right, y'all are going too far now. I mean.
When was the last time you were at my house? Because you keep naming everything I have at my house. Pumpkin Cheerios.
What?
And then I literally have Cocoa Puffs, Lucky Charms, and Cinnamon Toast Crunch breakfast bars.
Oh,
Do you remember when those breakfast bars first came out and nobody understood what science was and how it worked? So we all took milk, we poured cereal into milk, and then we stuck it in our freezer for a night. And we were like, that's how you make it. And then they were like, no, condensed milk and this and that and science and fermentation and other big words. And we were like, nope, just
those are my
cereal.
favorite. When those came out, like I loved like the Golden Grams one. That was the Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I feel like is always the greatest. That's like the greatest cereal ever. So
I go back and forth between all three of which are my favorites, but they're great. There's a place in Denver, Florida, and Oregon. So Colorado, Florida, and Oregon. Probably one in LA. I wouldn't be surprised. Or Vegas called crap, hold on one sec. This will take me 10 seconds. Denver Donuts. I love when a place is so famous, you know it's gonna be the
is it Pink Box?
Okay, so it's Voodoo Donuts.
Oh, there's one here. Yeah,
but
definitely.
they come in pink boxes.
Oh, okay. I haven't
Is
gone
Pink
yet.
Box a separate place?
Yeah, so there's a donut shop just called Pink Box Donuts,
Oh.
and it's
Very inappropriate.
yeah, I think they're in a couple states on the West Coast, but there's like since I moved here like a year ago, there's like 3 of them opened up, and they're pretty good. Like it's a fun place. They're 24 hours, and you can get like any type of donut you want. It's cool.
Interesting. Oh, so it looks very much like Voodoo Donuts. Voodoo Donuts is, they have the Rice Krispies one, the M&M's one, which I think they call the Marshall Mathers. They have a penis one that is filled with Boston-filled cream, which I think is gross enough as is. But then you put it in a penis donut, and that's too much.
That's a lot. That is a lot. Although I do like Boston cream donuts. The donuts are fucking good. It's funny. Most of the time, I don't really want a donut, but then sometimes it's like, oh, I do, and then I'll get like 6 of them and eat it as like a meal.
I want that to be the one isolated clip that we post on social media. Sometimes I don't want donuts, but then other times I eat donuts.
Well, it's either like no donuts or like a plate of donuts. That's how it is with me.
Once you pop. Yeah, I mean, if I go to like Dunkin' Donuts, I'm like, when will I be back here? 2 days. When will I be back here? I should get 2 donuts. And I get like a chocolate glazed or a glazed, and then always a butternut. And if you go to a place that has chocolate butternuts, like in Wells Beach, Maine, they have Congdon's Donuts, chocolate butternut there.
That sounds good.
This is a food podcast now. It's every comedian has like 7 podcasts, so I just feel like we should keep branching and just.
We should. I think.
Yeah,
man, we literally could actually that'd be kind of fun. Like maybe just having. I mean, I don't know. Like when it comes to food, there's so many different things you talk about, but like we could have like something specific where it's like just like pumpkin related food items. That's a podcast, and every episode we just talk about a different pumpkin related product. And there you go.
Basic Betches with the BETCHES. And even though you're not in New England, you can green screen your background. We'll talk about Tom Brady Uggs and foliage and.
Oh yeah. I got to. I mean, hey, I'm from, I was born and raised in Mass, so I still hold that title.
What? That's where I live now. I because of COVID and life and having a baby and life and everything, I have not been traveling at all, but I'm upset that you're leaving Vegas because I went once to Vegas. I went at 30 for my 30th birthday. I gotta tell you, at that point, I knew my alcohol tolerance very well, and I knew how to budget, and I knew how to be smart and fiscal and responsible. I went to Vegas at 30 for like 3 or 4 days, didn't spend a lot of money, had a great time there. Saw Celine Dion for my 30th birthday. It was fantastic. I didn't go ironically. It was amazing.
Hell no.
But there are two things I want to come back to Vegas for that I didn't even know were there, I think, at the time, is the Titanic steps. One of the hotels there have the steps from the ballroom. Mm-hmm. And then the Saw escape room. I mean, I think
they have the Saw escape room. And then I also saw recently, my mom actually visited recently, and we walked around Caesar's Palace a little bit at one day, and there's an escape room area, like business there, and one of the themed rooms is Rugrats. It's like a Rugrats, so like you can walk into like the kitchen and everything.
No way.
I want to do it. Just I don't care about the fucking like mystery. I just want to like be in like the different rooms and like Rugrat. You know, it's just so cool.
Wait a second. Okay, so I'm starting a new job in 2 weeks, and I have next week off. And I'm trying to think of like day trips around like New England. Like, what can I do? Go out and do this and do that. I just looked up Rugrats escape room. There's one in Pennsylvania, which is not exactly a day trip for me, I don't think.
Yeah,
but
it's a little far.
King of Prussia. Oh my God, this place looks so cool, and it's probably the same one too. That is really cool. The escape rooms I've been to are just like, you can tell you're in like a closed down office building, and the room has like 3 chairs and a sign that says warning over it.
The last one I went to was in Atlanta, actually, or it was outside of Atlanta, but I went with some friends, and it was like a Bigfoot themed.
Oh, cool.
One. So you were like in like a log cabin. It was pretty cool. I was
gonna say, the ones you've been to probably sound a lot more legit. This one is Rugrats Search for the Losted Toys, The Heist, Gold Rush, and Prison Break. Also, I we talked about it last time, but I recommend the escape room movies. If you like Saw, Escape Room is kind of like a more mild version of Saw. It's still R-rated. There's still death. It's got some good gore, but they're very fun. There's 2 movies. Second one takes place right after the first one. Really great twist in the new one. And then I don't know if we talked about it last time. I watched Meander, which I believe is French.
Yep.
French, and I believe it was dubbed over. But I watched it. It's like Saw with a sci-fi religious twist. Not like religious, like it just had like religious notes to it, I guess. But basically it's about a woman who wakes up and she's just like trapped in pipes and has to crawl through them. But it has to do with like afterlife and everything, and there's like zombies. It was very trippy, and it was just cool to see. And then what's being remade? Cube is being remade in Japan. Let's get into movie news and what we've been watching.
Let's do it. So actually, before we started, so we were we have a couple other stories we can talk about, but mainly we wanted to dedicate the movie news section to the Emmys because it just they just aired recently, so we can talk about the winners for a little bit. But I do want to just quickly bring out that I do have one bit of news, and this is really exciting because really anything this guy does at this point, or ever, I'm going to be on board. But some Eddie Murphy news. He just recently signed a 3-picture deal with Amazon, which is cool, and it makes sense because I think was it Amazon? Yeah, I think, or Netflix. I know he made 2 years ago, back in 2019, they released they released Dolomite Is My Name, and then last year or this year maybe the Coming to America, the sequel came out, which wasn't that good, but nonetheless, like, it's still exciting when Eddie Murphy comes out with a new project. And I can't find it here specifically, but my roommate, like right before I started this podcast episode, my roommate mentioned that one of the movies I believe he's going to be in is with Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Jonah Hill. So those two and Eddie Murphy in a movie. I think that's pretty cool casting. So
I have 2 Eddie Murphy movies to talk about. Because I mean he definitely has a good serious range. And if you're looking to dip into the serious range of Eddie Murphy, one of my favorite movies, and it's one I'm telling you, since childhood, I watch it at least once a year. It's got Bernie Mac in it, rest in peace. Anthony Anderson, probably one of his very first.
What movie?
Early 2000s movie called Life. Have you ever seen it?
I know I've heard it. I don't think I've seen it though. I've heard of it.
It is Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy. We should do a whole episode on it. It's Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence in like the 40s, 50s maybe. They get wrongfully convicted of murdering somebody and they get sent to prison for life. And it is funny. It is like pee your pants funny. But, you know, we've talked about it. My favorite kind of thing is dramedy. I love to laugh. I love to cry. That's what I love about Ted Lasso and Scrubs and dramedies is I love how you can get both of those emotions out of something. That movie is so fun and funny and beautiful and depressing and heartbreaking. It is just, I have the chills just talking about it. So Life, highly recommend. Great soundtrack, great everything. Really just fantastic movie. And then he made a movie a few years ago. I came across the trailer like last year on YouTube. And I just went, this is my kind of movie. How'd I not know about this? So my favorite movies are movies that are told in the present about the past and cover like decades. So my favorite movies are Titanic. She's telling this past story. Big Fish. He's telling the story of his upbringing. Like I love movies like that where it's, you know, a character talking about his past. He did a movie called Mr. Church with I believe her name's Britt Robertson. And it's basically he comes in to cook for this mom and her younger daughter. He comes in just to be the cook. I think the dad winds up dying and hires him for about 6 months to cook and just kind of help the family get back on their feet. The mom winds up dying of cancer. She was sick the whole time. That's not a spoiler. It's pretty much the premise. And the whole movie follows the younger girl for the next like 20, 30, 40 years and her kind of life with Mr. Church and, you know, his private history and life. And it's just, I mean, it's one of those movies where you very much are wondering how he did not get nominated. It's a very, very good movie.
When did that one come out?
I want to say like 2015, something like that, but it's 2016. You would just watch the trailer. So when a young girl and her dying mother are joined by a black male cook who comes to live with them, little do they know that their lives are about to change forever. Yeah, Natasha McElhone, can't say that name, Britt Robertson, and Eddie Murphy. And Natasha is famous for Californication, Designated Survivor, Truman Show. She's really good. So yeah, I didn't think I was gonna get into it, but I was telling somebody about Life the other day, and it's the best. One of my pieces of movie news here, and I shared it on my own Instagram like 4 minutes ago, and we're going to start sharing movie news on our own social media as well, the Weiliotis podcast. The Super Mario Brothers animated movie just got announced. So I've heard about it. I've been waiting for it for a little while. It is Chris Pratt, Anya Taylor-Joy, Charlie Day, Jack Black, Keegan-Michael Key, Seth Rogen, Fred Armisen, Kevin Michael Richardson, Sebastian Maniscalco. So it's gonna be good. And Tom was saying, it'd be great if it kind of had that new Sonic kind of twist to it, the live action with the CGI, and
yeah, because I think for the most part that was a success, that movie, like surprisingly.
I'm 100% on board. I think Jim Carrey already signed on for the sequel. I mean, the new Sonic movie is one of those movies where like they went into it knowing it's not a movie for 7 and 8 year olds. Like 30, 40-year-olds are going to go watch that movie, so they're going to pack in 30 and 40-year-old humor. That movie was, I mean,
especially
very,
because
very good movie.
Those same people, grew up playing the game on Sega Genesis and whatnot, and hell, even I played on Sega Genesis back in like 2004 or some shit, and like, yeah, that movie is actually, like I said, surprisingly funny, even though I think like sometimes I kind of wish that it maybe split up its time between being in like the, like the Emerald Hill zone, like actually being in Sonic's universe and being in like our universe. But, because
the opening was very cute. I mean, like Angry Birds movie, like all the movies, you get to meet like baby Sonic in his homeland. But yeah, I think like a prequel would be good, or like a return to what's it called where he lives?
I don't know. Well, I know Emerald Hill Zone. That's like the first level of like the first game. Yeah. And I know like at the end of that movie, they send what's his name, Dr. Eggplant, Jim Carrey's character, to like the Mushroom Universe or whatever, Mushroom Zone, and then it's like cuts back like months later. He's been stuck there, and like he looks more like traditionally like what he looks like, Eggplant looks like, where he has like that crazy mustache and he has the bald head, and like that'd be kind of funny seeing Jim Carrey do a whole movie like looking like that.
When he first walks into frame, I think he gets out of a bus or something. I was just like, it's one of those things where you go, if they cast anybody else, they wouldn't have done justice. I mean, it was kind of Jim Carrey's return to comedy, and it was just, it was a very, very fun movie. And I the first half is much stronger than the second half, but the whole movie's fantastic. And I just remember the first half laughing very loudly at that movie. I mean, it's very funny. And it's not like kitschy. It's not terrible. It's funny. It's smart. It's inappropriate. It's edgy. It's James Marsden. Can't go wrong with him.
Yeah. So hopefully, they can, cause the idea of like really any video game based movie is kind of like, everyone's a little like hesitant about it just because, for the most part, most video game adaptations are not good. But obviously, when it comes to like Sonic or Mario, like these are ones where there's like a lot more legroom. It's not like, I feel like there's in a lot of ways there's a lot less to mess up as far as like story goes. Now, general like aesthetics and like style and the look of it, you could definitely mess that up too, as they did originally with Sonic when they put out the first trailer,
which really ruined it because I don't know anybody who's seen the movie besides you, because like that first thing really threw everybody off, and it wound up just being so well done when it came around.
Yeah. So, I mean, in this case, I don't know. I wonder if Chris Pratt... I actually heard somewhere that Chris Pratt, is he going to be Mario? And then Charlie Day is Luigi?
Let me go back. So I started connecting my laptop to my monitor. So now I can... Since Tom and I can't afford a assistant to do the editing and the research and the time markings and all of that.
Yeah, we don't have a young Jamie who can just do all this for us, who can Google stuff for us.
We will get there. Chris Pratt is Mario. Charlie Day is Luigi. Princess Peach. Anya Taylor-Joy. Jack Black as Bowser. Yes, 100%.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong.
Wait, so you said Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong?
Yep. Just Kevin Michael Richardson as Kamek. And Sebastian Maniscalco as Spike. It almost seems like they're going for like a Mario Kart. And okay, Tom, I'm lazy and I'm not a good editor. And a lot of the times I have an idea and I'm just like, I'll wait for somebody else to make the idea. I'll just have somebody else will do it and I'll just watch and laugh. We need to take a video clip from Mario Kart, the game, and then take audio from all of these people in famous movies that they're in and then dub it over.
Oh, yeah, we could do that. That'd be good.
I could spend weeks doing it and then still only get 48 plays. I have a video where I spliced Winnie the Pooh with Rihanna, and it's at like 5,000 views on YouTube. And one of the comments just says, "This deserves more likes." And I'm like, thank you. One more piece of movie news. I know we have a lot here that we got to cover all together. One more piece is Justin Long, one of my favorite people, actor, just hilarious, from Connecticut, not far from where we grew up. He actually just wrote and directed his first movie with his brother, Christian. It's called Lady of the Manor, kind of a comedic ghost movie. It's out right now. You can watch it on Apple TV. It has Melanie Linsky in it, Judy Greer, both very funny. Luis Guzman is in it, Ryan Phillippe. It looks very funny, very, very funny. Good ghost story. And there's a TV show coming out called Ghost, too, I believe on ABC or NBC, that looks funny. Kind of like the Ricky Gervais movie. It seems a little bit like that.
Oh, yeah,
which I like. Yeah. So, Emmys. We watched the Emmys on Sunday. I didn't even know the Emmys were on until Sunday, and then I got excited. Like we talked about in the beginning, I don't watch sports. The Emmys and Oscars are my sports. So I was excited. I fell asleep during the end because life. But yeah, I wound up basically watching it for really two shows, and both of the shows swept, which were Ted Lasso was great. Obviously, it's the best show on television right now, if you consider Apple TV television. It's a weird sentence to say now. So Apple TV really just, swept the Emmys, which is very exciting. And then Hacks. Hacks is on HBO Max. Yeah. It's by the same team as Broad City, and it's just fantastic.
And Jean Smart won, right? She won every.
Yep. Yeah,
which is cool because I didn't mention in the catching up episode, but earlier, like a couple months ago, I watched Mayor of Easttown. So the HBO miniseries with Kate Winslet. Kate Winslet also won.
That did really well.
Super well deserving. That show, that miniseries was fantastic. Like, have you seen it, Mikey?
I have not. I didn't even know what it was.
You should check it out. It's a great, on the surface, it's kind of just a great little mystery. So young woman dies in a town, in a small town where nothing ever happens, obviously, and then from there, it's further investigated. But there's a lot of really good family drama in there. Kate Winslet's amazing. I feel bad at forgetting his name, but Roy, what's his name? Roy from The Office. You ever watch The Office?
Oh my God! Wait, Roy's in it?
Yeah, and he's great. He's like, it's funny because he's been popping up in movies recently and TV shows, and dude's a great actor.
David Denman.
David Denman.
So he is hard to watch. I was talking about him the other day. He's hard to watch because he always plays the character that gets shit on in everything he's in. He's in one of my favorite movies, Big Fish. He gets shitting all over that. In The Office, Jim kind of wins Pam over from him. Brightburn, fantastic movie. We've talked about that on here. And then he's in not getting shit on. He's in one of my favorite movies, Out Cold, which came out in the early 2000s, which is a snowboard movie. And he is just very, very funny in that. Yeah, he's great. He's like a Judy Greer character where like he's just in everything. I mean, he's in every TV show and movie, but now you're selling me on it just by saying his name alone.
Yeah, no, to me, like from what I've seen, because, you know, obviously I know him from The Office and I've seen him in like, you know, smaller bit roles, but this one is the first time I've ever really been like, oh, this guy is like a legit actor. And he plays it, you know, he's just really good in it. And that it's just a great show. Like I said, great mystery, really fucked up. Kate Winslet, incredibly captivating and really sad character. I feel like by the end of that show, you're like, oh God, like she's going through some shit. But yeah, that Jean Smart, she's in it, obviously. That's why
she is.
Yeah, that's why I started talking about it, because she plays Kate's mother in it. So she's
Wait, what did she win for? Hacks though?
She won for Hacks, yeah.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know she was in both. All right. Where do I watch that show?
Mirror Vista. Oh, it's HBO.
Okay. Yeah.
Limited series, so worth watching. You know.
I almost made the joke. I almost made the joke on social saying the Emmys are on tonight. Let me just guess what's going to win everything. And then I was going to say British show, Ryan Murphy show, British show, The Voice, and then British show. That's pretty much, and it wasn't far off. Wasn't far off from what won, but I'm so happy Hacks won, which, you know, definitely secures more seasons. Super, super good show. Takes place in Vegas too. Yeah,
I still gotta check it out, because I'm not gonna lie, like 99% of like everything on like that was nominated for the Emmys, I have not really seen. Yeah, just haven't been doing good on TV this year. I got to turn that around, because there's so much good TV out, and has been for a long time, really. But like so much good TV out right now.
I'm gonna cover the TV portion of this and what I've been watching. Do you mind if I just ramble and go?
Yeah, we can segue into that.
Perfect. So this week and last week, mostly this week, have been great for the return of television, for new TV shows, new premieres, reboots, a little bit of everything. So here's what I watched this week. I had to really struggle between watching Nicolas Cage movies and getting in all of my premieres. So it was a very busy week. That's why I'm so tired, because I've been staying up watching Nicolas Cage and watching TV shows. So Sunday were the Emmys, and then Celebrity Family Feud came back. I didn't see that episode, but I love the game shows. I love Celebrity Family Feud. I love Match Game with Alec Baldwin. To Tell the Truth, Anthony Anderson. All very funny, relevant actors and comedians on there. Monday, 911 came back. Ryan Murphy, of course. Great show with Peter Cross, star of 6 Feet Under, Parenthood, two of my favorite shows. Really, really great show, just about firefighters in LA. This season, I believe, is being called Blackout. Big blackout going on, hackers and cyber terrorists, things like that. Monday also brought in the premiere of Big Leap. I watch everything. I watch TV in the background at work, and I watch kitschy shows that I wind up falling in love with. And Big Leap is just a fun show about kind of like So You Think You Can Dance happening, and kind of like behind the scenes of what that's like, and behind the scenes of everybody who's auditioning and why they're there and what their stories are. It's funny, and it's dramatic, and it's got a really good cast. Piper Parabo's in it, Simone Kastner, Scott Foley, he produces it. He's very, very funny in it, and it's got a very good cast. John Rudnitsky from SNL, so it's got a very good cast, and it's very funny. That came out Monday. Ordinary Joe came out Monday. This is a show I've been waiting for, along with La Brea, which comes out.
Is this the one you're saying is Matt Reeves on?
Yeah. So maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Oh man, it's so great having this extra screen here so I can do this. About 5 or 6 years ago, one of my favorite shows, and by 5 or 6, I mean, when did that show come out? There was a TV show a while back, just like The Black Donnellys, one of my favorite shows, that just, let's see, that just did not last long. It got canceled after a season, half a season, and didn't go anywhere. So came out in 2012, TV show starring Jason Isaacs, Dylan Minnette, who's in everything now, Laura Allen, and it's basically it's the best trailer you'll ever see, which like almost sets it up to like, how can you make anything as good as the trailer? But it's a guy who's driving. He's a little drunk, a little bit over the limit. He's a detective. He's driving and drives the car off the road, and his wife and son are in the car. And every day he wakes up, one of them is alive and the other one is not. So one world that he lives in, his wife is still there and they're mourning the son. The other world, the next day he wakes up, the son is alive and the mother's not, and they're trying to put their lives back together. And that's kind of how Ordinary Joe is. So it's basically about a guy, follows him opening on his college graduation night. I think anybody will feel nostalgic and emotional about the show. I was like, I'm going to be a wreck after watching this. But basically on college graduation, he's there. One woman that he's kind of like best friends with and kind of has a crush on is like, come on out with me. This other woman that I think he's been hooking up with is like, come out with me. And then his mom and his uncle are like, come out with me. His father was a cop who died in 9/11. And his uncle is there and he's a cop as well and wants him to be a cop. And the show basically, I mean, there's some split scenes of the show where it's all 3 scenes at once. It shows what happened 10 years later. So if he goes with his uncle and mom out to dinner, what does he become? If he goes with this woman, what does he become? This woman, what does he become? And I think the twist to the first episode, if you want to call it that, is everything merges. So I mean, him 10 years later in one universe, everybody else around him is like still kind of the same. So like you kind of see how, you know, everything would have happened and would have worked out and who he would have ended up with. And it's when I was watching it, it was created by Matt Reeves and I think directed by him, who of course is part of like Bad Robot. Oh yeah,
maybe the Apes movies.
I think Lost, right? All of that. Yeah.
He might have. And obviously he's going to be directing, or is already directed, the new Batman movie with
the Batman, yeah,
which looks so good. And I don't know,
Cloverfield.
One of my friends too. Sorry to segue to this, but one of my friends was telling me, I guess there was some. I don't know if it was at a film festival recently, but there was some. They showed some or all of the new Batman movie, so select audience got to see it. And apparently, it's like super like mystery detective Batman movie. Like Batman's working super like Jim Gordon plays a major part, which I think is awesome. I think like to have a Batman movie that is more closely related to the early days of like it's more like detective roots, I think it's cool. Because like if they're gonna, I mean, fuck it, like if they're gonna make a new Batman movie, you might as well try something different. And
I'm like 12,000% on board. It's like Robert Pattinson and it's an indie Batman.
And Paul Dano, oh my god. Which also I heard he's like fucking crazy good in it. I heard it's like
what does he play?
The Riddler.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, it's gonna be great, and I think it's gonna be very dark. Literally, I think it's gonna be a movie where like if you watch it on your TV, you're gonna be I can't see anything.
Yeah,
like,
right.
yeah. No, I'm super excited. All right, I'll go fast through the rest here. Tuesday there wasn't much. Wednesday the Goldbergs came out. George Segal passed away. I believe this year he played the Gramp in the Goldbergs, and the whole episode was about him and paying homage to him. Great episode back. It's funny. So I've always compared every show I watched to the Wonder Years. And by every show, I mean like 12 shows. The Goldbergs, I say it's the Wonder Years with a Jewish family in the late 80s, early 90s. Fresh Off the Boat, it's with an Asian family in Florida in the 90s. And then I go, oh, this show is like the Wonder Years, but this or that. There's a show, the Real O'Neills, I believe. And then, just a ton of different shows like this. So Goldbergs came back, and then the Wonder Years came back. They rebooted the Wonder Years, the new show. It's just super powerful. Description here: the coming-of-age story of a 12-year-old black boy in Montgomery, Alabama, in the late 1960s, is told by his adult self. Don Cheadle plays the who's it in the Wonder Years? Is the guy from Home Alone? Daniel Stern. He plays the Daniel Stern in this. It's beautiful. It's heavy. It's heavy. I mean, it covers a lot of the, historical events back then. It's one episode, and I'm really excited about it because Fred Savage is behind it. He's producing, he's directing a few episodes. I don't know if anybody knows this. Fred Savage never went anywhere. He's not in front of the camera, but like go on his IMDb page, he has directed a couple episodes of every comedy you've loved over the last 20 years. Modern Family, Party Down, everything. So he's great. Goldberg's. I watched The Connors last night, which I've never watched or cared for, but it was a live episode. I love live 30 Rock and live TV shows. Undateable, another Bill Lawrence show. They did a whole season live. Home Economics, new Topher Grace show with Jimmy Tatro, second season, very funny. A Million Little Things came back last night. Probably my top 3 favorite shows. This Is Us, Million Little Things takes place in Boston. And then tonight, I just caught up on the last 2 episodes. For anybody's listening to our podcast, I say everything's my favorite. A favorite TV show, favorite movie. I have a lot of favorites, I do. But please just take my word for it when I say this. There's a show on HBO Max called The Other Two. And the finale to season 2 is tonight. It's created by 2 ex-head writers of SNL. And basically think of the show of when Justin Bieber first got famous. What if he had 2 siblings that were very, very unsuccessful, and it follows them. It's Ken Marino's in it, Molly Shannon. It is Wanda Sykes. Ooh. Very, very funny, and also just extremely sad and honest and relevant. It's like watching Idiocracy. I mean, like, he basically chased dreams. That's his name. He gets famous. He's like 12. Gets famous writing a song called I Want to Marry You at Recess. And like the next day has his own cologne clothing line, doing his own fashion shows, flying private jets and all of this. And his mom gets famous just because it's his mom. And it's just like, it's hard to watch because of how real it is, but it's just very, very funny. It really parodies a lot of it. And I mean, Ken Marino. I feel like if I met Ken Marino and he wasn't how he was in TV shows and movies, I'd be upset and I'd be impressed. I'd be impressed that he has not won like every Emmy and Oscar ever, because his characters and everything he's in are just so uncomfortable and brilliant. But that's what I've been watching. Now it's the weekend's coming up, so I'll probably get back into some newer movies and things like that. Besides Nicolas Cage, Tom, what have you been watching? Anything?
So movie wise, no, because like last week I saw Malignant, and then we recorded 2 days later, and then every other day I basically watched one of these movies, Willy's Wonderland, and then Color Out of Space, and then actually I had seen Pig earlier this year too. I saw that back when it was out in theaters. And then TV shows, I said it on the last 2 episodes, but still watching Breaking Bad.
It's like Vince Gilligan pays you every episode.
That'd be great. But it doesn't need to, because I just love the show so much.
It's a great show, but Tom, there are other shows I can recommend if you need other shows.
Oh, and I do. Well, the thing is, like, every year I probably watch I start maybe like 2 or 3 shows on average, maybe. This year, other than East and Maretown, I haven't really done too well with checking anything else out. But I mean, obviously, you just fucking named like 50 shows in like 2 seconds. Like,
I got you.
Yeah, future episodes, I'll have to start watching some of your stuff so we can really talk about it, because I'm always trying to watch new TV shows for sure.
You don't have to. One of my friends, I've been recommending TV shows to her, and she's like, I don't watch TV, and then 10 minutes later she's like, oh, I just dove in and now I'm obsessed with this, and I'm like, oh no.
No, I love it. Like I
don't want to ruin people.
I love watching a good show, like really getting attached to something. I mean, last year, and earlier this year I finished The Sopranos. Like that was a really, really great show to watch.
Oh, there's a Sopranos magazine. So if you guys know, magazines now cost $15 so they can keep in business. If you go to a supermarket, there's a Sopranos. It might be Life or some magazine, but it's all about the Sopranos, how they shape television. And nice. Then the Newark movies coming out, I believe like October 1st next week.
Yeah.
And what was the other thing you said? You said what else you been watching?
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
Well, I'm on season 3 right now. This is like the 5th time I've watched it, but like I said, every time I've watched it, I'm usually watching it with somebody else who has never seen it. So
yeah, no, that's cool. Don't you love that? Like you get jealous of them, and you're like, I'm never gonna be able to get that back. But the same time,
for real.
Like you get to watch it with them and just like stare at them the whole time.
Okay, so you know this feeling, and I want to ask you this because I felt Skylar. So my roommate Skylar, who obviously there's a Skylar in the show too, so he loves that. Every time Walter goes Skylar, he like loves it.
Wait, but, Batman's in Breaking Bad?
Yes, yeah.
Where's Skylar? Where is she?
Jesse, we have to cook. But so I want to ask you this though, because you just mentioned that good point. So like you're watching a show, you love it, or a movie too, but like a show in this case. You love it. You're showing a friend. You just want your friend to get it like you get it, right? Like you want to see the reactions. Because like one thing I've noticed like in the past, and it's almost like you had to check your expectations. Because like when I watched Breaking Bad for the first time, it was only like 2 seasons in. I was in high school, and it blew my mind. I was super young back. Still am, but like I was in high school and like super young. I was like, oh my god, it's the best show ever made. And I still think that. I still think it's one of the greatest pieces of like anything really, one of the greatest pieces of art ever made. But when you watch it with a friend or show somebody, like obviously they're not gonna. In most cases, they're not gonna have the same reaction. They're gonna have. But like, have you ever been disappointed? Like, have you showed a friend something and you're like, oh, here it comes, and they're just like, they just don't have like that crazy of a reaction or something, and you're just like, but you remember back when you first saw it, and you had like some like you were just like amazed by it. Has that ever happened or in any like capacity or?
I'm not even thinking. I'm trying to dramatically build this up to the answer.
Because like,
every single time, single time, because I'm so
Yeah.
passionate. Like, I mean, I could write a book about Scrubs and the philosophy behind it and the music and the score and everything, and like, I just love all that stuff. So I think, but it's also this. So I'm about to have some people unsubscribe from our podcast. Me, The Big Lebowski, The Beatles, and Pulp Fiction. Not a big fan of all three of them, because they were built up to me for so long that by the time I got around to them, I was like, yeah, it's good. Like, it was good. It was tolerable. It was enjoyable. I laughed or I listened.
Right.
But you built it up to be the greatest band to ever walk this planet, or you built it up to be the greatest movie ever made. That when, and that's probably what I do. So we talk about this podcast. I go, it's the best movie ever. And then you watch it and you're like, it was fun. It was
Yeah, like, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
So I probably build people up a little too much, and I kind of ruin it. I'll sit there and be like, what do you think? What do you think? Like, oh, what? Why didn't you react to that? What do you think? Get off your phone. Why are you on your phone? You just missed the lady dropping an ATM machine on her boyfriend so they could get meth money. That's one of that. Like that scene in Breaking Bad.
One of the greatest episodes, by the way.
Second season, that is where the show really started, and you were like, oh shit, like this is.
Yeah, like season 1 is great, but yeah, season 2 is when it's like, okay, this is the show. And but no, like so that's a good response. And I will say too, to respond quickly what you just said, that makes sense, especially with the like Pulp Fiction and the Beatles. Like those are both two huge like iconic pieces of art for their time, right? Like Pulp Fiction being early 90s, Beatles being like mid-late 60s or whatever. I get that. Although I will say Big Lebowski, one of the best movies ever made. Like straight up like that. I love it so much. And it took me like four four viewings to really like it. Like
and I watched it once.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great recommendation to anybody who hated something the first time. Watch it again.
Yeah.
But I got to say, I'm a Kingpin guy. I grew up watching Kingpin.
Oh, Kingpin's great too.
Woody Harrelson really and Bill Murray, man. I mean, yeah. Why would you watch anything else?
Actually, that'd be a cool double feature. But no, like Big Lebowski, I remember like the first 2 times I watched it, I was like, yeah, it's pretty good, like pretty funny. And then like the third, fourth time, I like picked up on so many little nuances and little jokes, and now I just think it's the funniest thing. I quote it with people all the time. It's so good.
All right, I have 2 questions. Have you seen the sequel with John Turturro?
No, not yet. I keep forgetting about that movie.
I have not. I want to watch it just for him. But let me ask you this. And I saw Big Lebowski once, like 10 years ago. So this question could be terrible. Did you feel like it was like watching Formula? Formula, not like a sequel or anything like that. Formula wise, do you feel like watching Big Lebowski was like watching an episode of Seinfeld? Where like when I think of the Big Lebowski, I think of like The Rug, and I'm like, you watch Seinfeld and they do a whole 22-minute episode about a pen that Jerry stole and his.
Okay, so yes, in that regard, yes.
That's what Big Lebowski felt like to me. Like it was an hour and a half of him like my rug.
Well, see, I won't say too much because I wanted to see it again, but there's like the beginning. It's in the beginning. The movie sets itself being in like 91, so it's set in like 1991. Even though the movie was made in 99 or came out in 99, and it juxtaposes like that time frame with the Gulf War, and like with they even show like the TV, and you see Saddam Hussein on it, you see like George Bush Senior. So like it's when I saw it, like recently, like a couple of months ago, I was like, wait, I'm like, why? I've questioned that every time, like why are they hunting in on like this specific time, like the Gulf War and everything. And I don't know. That's all I really want to say, because the movie, like the occurrences that happen between every character in it, it's somehow it relates to real world events. Like, the dude wants his carpet back, and then Walter, played by John Goodman, he's like extremist. He's like, we're gonna get your rug back, and like he's like, he's all like brutality, and I don't know, the way it relates characters and actions to that of like real world events. In this case, like the Gulf War, and like the actions of like our then president. Like it's really fascinating. It's a lot deeper than I originally thought it was. And it's also just, again, in my opinion, one of the funnier movies I've personally ever seen. There's just a lot of great jokes in there, but
Pulp Fiction I liked, but I'm more of a Reservoir Dogs guy, I think.
Reservoir Dogs is fantastic. And yeah, honestly, I love Pulp Fiction, but I would say, yeah, I kind of teeter between the two as far as like what's my favorite.
Formula wise too. I mean, and this is not an insult because he's brilliant. I mean, every Quentin Tarantino movie is the same formula. You do a 3-hour movie, you do 2 hours and 40 minutes of just pointless dialogue about random shit, and then just like 2 minutes of 20 minutes of just the most graphic. I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, was that what it was called, his last movie?
Yeah.
So I didn't see it. I didn't have an interest. I don't know why I didn't see it in theaters.
It's fucking great.
No, I saw it. So I think that maybe there were a lot of other good movies I don't want to see. I don't know. But basically, I wound up having the whole movie spoiled for me. I said, just read it. Tell me what happens. I want to know the whole movie in the end, because it's a Tarantino movie. I want to know what happens at the end. I knew the ending going into it, and the end of that movie still blew me away. I mean, just so graphic and disturbing and gory. And what I loved about that movie was it put Brad Pitt back on the charts. I mean, like, that movie was like Brad Pitt's return, where everybody was like, all right, Brad Pitt.
Yeah, it's one of those performances where you're like, oh yeah, he's still top dog. Because he's so good at it. Him and Leo are just
him and Leo's relationship and friendship.
So
and,
good.
Yeah,
it's great.
I thought it was Aaron Paul playing the Charles Manson in the first trailer.
Ooh, that'd be an interesting.
The first trailer, it looked a lot like him, and I was like, damn. Well, maybe if they remake it.
Yo, bitch, I'm gonna kill your whole family. Yo,
Yo, bitch, come to my cult.
Yeah, come on, helter skelter, bitch. Yeah, but I will say, to the end of that movie, yeah, honestly, probably the most brutal out of any of his movies. Because here's the thing, like, you could look at like Django Unchained or all these other movies where there's just big explosive, gunshot wounds and all that, but then this movie, you just see Brad Pitt take a woman's face and bash it into bricks and a telephone, and it's like, to me, that's like even more brutal, because it's like
flamethrower.
It's all up close. It's super, because obviously Tarantino doesn't mess around with anything in his movies, but especially when it comes to like action and violence, it's not, he shows everything. So it's like that movie, it's like, it's a dog ripping a guy apart. A girl getting burned alive. The first instance of that girl running at Brad Pitt with a knife, and he just throws a can at her face. Like the sound it makes and everything. It's like, oh god, like It's just like fucked up.
Well, all right. Let me ask you this, actually, because I have a question for you.
Okay, then we should talk about Nick Cage movies, because
oh, is that what we're doing tonight? Are we doing Nick Cage?
So. Something like that.
Let me see. If we were back in the day right now.
How far back are we talking?
70s, and we were doing a podcast. If we were the first podcasters, that'd be cool. We'd be billionaires.
We'd be really ahead of the game.
If we were the first podcasters from way back in the day, we would have to put out our podcasts on, because we do long episodes, we'd have to put it probably on a vinyl. And on a vinyl, there's two sides. There's the A side of the vinyl, and then what's the opposite side?
The B. Oh, yes. The B's.
I was gonna keep doing this as much as I can during the podcast.
Yeah. That's great.
I have another one. So during COVID-19, I put on 19 pounds. So I've actually had to upgrade my bra, and now I wear bees. The bees. No, I was gonna ask you this. So
good transition.
I was talking to a friend the other day about Hacksaw Ridge. Did you see Hacksaw Ridge?
I did, yeah.
I loved it. Great movie.
It's great. I saw it like not even a year ago, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, really? I saw it in theaters by myself. It was one of the most graphic and gory war films I've ever seen, or films in general. It was very, very graphic and just a lot of explosions and limbs and body parts. And I was talking to somebody the other day that said, I didn't like it. I said, why not? They said it was too gory. Like it was too this, it was too that. And here's my question comes for you. Between the Pulp Fictions, the Reservoir Dogs, and the Once Upon a Time in America, or Hollywood, you look at Hacksaw Ridge and go, that was the most graphic movie I've ever seen. It's kind of like, was it though? Because like, think about it this way. You think it's graphic. It's just that it was made in 2016, so the special effects are much greater. If Saving Private Ryan had the same gore and prop and SFX and FX and all of that Hacksaw Ridge did, it would probably have been the same way. So do you think that would apply to Pulp Fiction and was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood the most graphic Quentin Tarantino movie? Or was it just the most realistic because it's in 4K high def and...
Well, no, because I think like if you go back and watch like Pulp Fiction, the violence still holds up. Like it's still visceral, and obviously that's a testament to obviously him as a director, but also like going out of your way to use like actual squibs, like because nowadays blood they can just there's a lot of digital blood in like movies these days, which
sugar, right? They use like a red sugar.
Well, I know. I mean, I know, like even just red fruit dye and like corn syrup and stuff, or like
that's what it is.
I know, like a famous one. This was obviously for black and white, but Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, he used Hershey syrup, which in black and white actually looks like blood, which is kind of cool.
Dark, yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I think I said that the end of Once Upon a Time is the most brutal because in a sense it is like more like realistic, if you want to say, but also like because it's more brutal, just hand to hand like kind of combat. It's a guy bashing a girl's face against bricks, and to me like that's gonna usually be more brutal than watching someone get shot, especially when it's like up and close and you have the sound effects there. So I don't know. It really just depends on the movie, I think. But
yeah, it'd be good to revisit them and kind of compare the special effects before we move on. What's up?
No, so that'd be a good future episode. Anything Tarantino really would be a fun episode to talk about.
Before we move on, I have a question for you. I'm going to go back to sports here. This person is a former American football quarterback who played in the NFL for 20 seasons. A member of the New Orleans Saints for most of his career, he is the NFL leader in career pass completions, career completion percentage, and regular season passing yards, along with being the second in career touchdown passes and career pass attempts. Do you know who that is?
Shit. No.
His first name is Drew. I'm setting you up here again.
Is it Drew Brees?
Breeze.
Oh, Drew Brees. Okay.
The Breeze. Oh my! If they did The Happening with Nicolas Cage and it was just the wind, because isn't that what in The Happening? Isn't just the trees and the wind that kills people?
Yes.
So we should edit a scene into The Happening where Nicolas Cage comes in and he's going, "The Breeze, the Breeze."
That's right. Makes you jump off buildings. I'm
gonna set up one more and then we're gonna get started here. I mean, this is getting into Nicolas Cage.
Oh yeah, no, this is all for Nick Cage.
All right, this Caribbean country located on the northeastern coast of Central America. It's the capital of Belmopan and its largest city is blank city. I'm stretching it more and more.
I know.
Belize.
Oh, Belize, yes, Belize. Yeah.
Belize. I'm gonna come up with more. I'll come up with more as we go.
No, for sure.
Let's dive into it. Nicolas Cage. Despite all my rage, I'm just Nicolas Cage.
You're right. And so we got a couple movies today, and like I said, we kind of specifically wanted to tailor this episode to be recent. So movies,
and we didn't cover all. There's newer movies.
Oh, there are.
Yes, there's
this dude's always working, right? He's always working. But there's a lot. I figure the ones we picked, definitely some of the more prominent ones. People are more aware of these ones for sure. It's funny because I forgot to even mention it, but Mandy was one I kind of wanted to also talk about, but I forgot about it. And I haven't seen it yet. No, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen
Mandy. Is that Is that different than Mom and Dad?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Mandy came out 2018, and I remember being so excited for it, but I just never got around to it. But
I was excited for Mom and Dad. Man, there's a lot of movies he's done in the past 3 years. And then Prisoners of Ghostland. My therapist actually told me about when I told him I was doing a Nicolas Cage episode. That is his newest movie. And basically he has said it's the most fun he's ever had making a movie ever. It's playing in limited theaters, but basically let me just explain it because we didn't watch it. We're not going to cover it. In the treacherous frontier city of Samurai Town,
nice.
A ruthless bank robber gets sprung from jail by a wealthy warlord whose adopted granddaughter has gone missing. He offers the prisoner his freedom in exchange for retrieving the runaway. Strapped into a leather suit that will self-destruct in 5 days, the bandit sets off on a journey to find the young woman and his own path to redemption. That is Prisoners of the Ghostland, which I believe you can rent on TV as well. Once again, Imogen Poots is in it. Once again, we'll point out, if you feel safe, go to the movies. If they're taking the right safety precautions, check out the website, check out the apps, AMC, Regal. You can reserve tickets ahead of time. I saw Candyman last week. So, nice. They're reclinable seats at AMC, so you're 6 feet, if not more, away from everybody. I saw Candyman. We can talk about later. I did not understand most of the movie.
Wait, have you seen the original?
Nope.
Okay, you gotta see the original. Not just because it'll make more sense, but because it's fucking great. Like literally, that movie like touches my soul. I don't know why. I do know why to a certain extent, but I don't know. To me, it's just like it's like a fever dream of a movie. That terminology, if I have to use it, like it puts you in a trance, kind of. It's a great movie. What are we talking about? Did you when you got home, did you look in the mirror and say Candyman 5 times?
No, man. I live alone. Heck no.
You're right.
No,
that would be horrifying.
No, I just feel like they need to make an immediate prequel or sequel. There's just a lot of like the history and folklore in it that I didn't fully understand.
I talked about it in the catching up episode, and I did mention as much as I liked it, there is a lot of exposition. Like they do dump a lot of information on you. So if you're not like super aware of the history or of the first movie, you're going to be you might be a little thrown off for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, let's so all right, as if we're writing a term paper. The intro paragraph, you talk about what you're going to talk about. So today we're going to talk mostly about Willy's Wonderland, Nicolas Cage. We're going to talk about his movie Pig with Alex Wolff. But that's definitely still playing in theaters, Pig. And then I went ahead and watched Primal, free on Netflix. Watched it kind of in the background of work yesterday. And you watched Color Out of Space. So yes. What do you want to start with?
I say honestly we start with Willy's Wonderland because we both saw it for one. And Pig is more recent, so I figured maybe we'll end on Pig. For now, we can talk about Willy's Wonderland. And this is just a good crazy movie to jump into because it's just wild.
I'm still processing Pig. I really enjoyed it. I'm just still processing it. But it was a very, very beautiful movie. But yeah.
It is. Let's get it. But yeah, so Willy's Wonderland. We'll start with that, I guess. And
I got the facts pulled up here too. So I'll give the kind of like nerdy background facts about each movie. We'll talk about budget and box office and release dates and reviews and things like that. So yeah, Willy's Wonderland. I'm just gonna read the synopsis, and then we'll provide another synopsis. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. When his car breaks down, a quiet loner, played by Cage, agrees to clean an abandoned family fun center in exchange for repairs. He soon finds himself waging war against possessed animatronic mascots while trapped inside Willy's Wonderland. This movie came out February 12th of this year, directed by Kevin Lewis, a budget of $5 million. That's pretty good. Box office, 431,000. DVD release April 13th. That is a DVD I would buy, definitely, especially if it had like one of those 3D covers that like you could see all the characters in.
Lenticular. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Maybe you know this because you know words like lenticular. I didn't even know.
Lenticular.
What is it?
Lenticular. Yeah, that's what you're referring to as far as like the you can see like multiple images when you rotate it or whatever.
I learned something. We'll do that for the first season of our podcast when we put it out. We could put our podcast out on DVD or VHS. I mean, it's all video. That'd be kind of cool.
If we wanted to. I mean, that would be kind of cool.
That'd be cool.
We can do audio commentary on our podcast.
Oh my god, we could give it to our moms for Christmas.
Hell yeah, my biggest fan.
my only fan. So let me ask you this: when it says box office $431,020, is that just theatrical? I mean, I know that's always meant theatrical, but
Probably.
Is that taking into play the video on demand?
I don't know. It's hard these days to figure that out because especially when like a movie, like the majority of its being like, you know, of its existence is on like a streaming platform.
I watched it for free on Hulu. Yeah.
Yeah, same. So it's like you wonder, like was that? Yeah, I don't know if how that plays into it. And obviously too, like, you know, this movie probably got a pretty good paycheck from Hulu, buying, you know, to put it on their platform. So, but I don't know. I don't think I want to say that it's just theatrical. Although I don't remember if this movie ever even played theatrically.
Yeah, well, $431,000 worth of, and I'll give a little statistic on the movie too. So, a lot of people think it's kind of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, just with a different trademark. But the movie was filmed at an abandoned Georgia, of course, everything's filmed in Georgia, shopping center. That was the filming locale of the movie. All filming was done at the shopping center location or nearby. A couple trailers and other scenes in the movie, a police station. Although the plot is similar to the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, it is actually based on a short film called Wally's Wonderland, which I would very much like to watch right now. And I wonder why they changed it to Willy's Wonderland, because if you're going to base something off of it, you either do it all out and have the exact same name or no name at all whatsoever. You know what I'm saying?
I guess. I mean, I kind of like the way Willy's sounds, Willy's Wonderland, but I mean, what's interesting too is that on Hulu you can watch for free. Obviously, there as long as you have a subscription. There's a short film called The Hug. Have you ever seen it?
I've heard of it. No, I'm not sure.
It's like 5-10 minutes long. It's fucking creepy though, and it's literally just about a kid at the birthday party at like a place like this, like Wally's Wonderland, and one of the animatronics is like chilling, and he's like looking at it. And he's all impressed by it. And he goes up to it, and he's like, "Give me a hug." And he hugs the kid, and he like doesn't let go, and just consumes him, like literally eats the kid, and just like backs away into like the darkness as like everyone's like having a birthday party. Yeah, and it's funny because I watched
that sounds fantastic.
You would love it. It's creepy as hell. And the funny thing is, I watched this last year with my roommate, and this was even before I think I even knew about Willy's Wonderland. And I'm right when I heard about Willy's Wonderland, I was like, oh, this has got to be connected, but it's not. I don't think it is. I think it's two completely separate things.
When you type in movies like Willy's Wonderland, The Hug on Hulu pulls up. I was going to pull up another one. There's one called The Banana. There's another movie that I think is actually...
I got to see that one too. That's based on like an old TV show or something.
Yeah, what is that one's called? Legit.
The Banana whatever band. Yeah, I want to see that.
Because that's the same movie, like very, very similar. I gotta watch The Hug now. Your description is very terrifying.
It is.
I just, if you want, throw up a picture in the podcast, or just Google it. Use your Googling skills. The animatronic is creepy. However, the animatronic, I can't go to bed after doing this episode. The animatronic, it's one of those movies like Malignant where you go like, I won't be afraid of this. It was such a stretch. There were a couple very terrifying animatronics in this. I think, you know, I don't know our format of this. I think what I loved about this movie was everything was just given to you. So, you know, they say show, don't tell. And sometimes you just have to tell, and folklore and, you know, things like this, you just have to tell or whatever. But I just feel like so many movies these days, nothing happens for 2 hours in a movie. And then it goes to credits and you go, what? And they go, yeah, man, like,
yeah, just think about it, man. Like, we left it all up to you. And yeah, I agree. There's something really refreshing about something so unpretentious and direct. It's like, hey, like, I mean, even you even texted me when you're watching it, like, I love the story behind this. And as do I. I think this whole, like, ritualistic kind of thing going on where, like, they have to continue to, like, you know, give, like, human bodies to these animatronics so they won't, like, attack the town. Awesome. Like that's such a great idea.
That whole scene. Well, so let's cover that. But first, the thing that I did was, where is it? Right there. The first thing I texted Tom was, I just watched Nicolas Cage curb stomp a giant gorilla mascot onto a urinal, which I believe is the second death of the movie. And
yes,
holy crap.
The weird ostrich looking thing, that was the first death.
Yeah. So basically, all right. So let's go on the premise of the movie. Nicolas Cage is a drifter. He's driving around. He's drinking. Looks like he's drinking and driving, but it's what?
Yeah, I think it's an energy drink called Punch. In all caps.
It's like a soda or energy drink. Yep. So he's driving around. He gets a flat tire. Very like wrong turn, Hills Have Eyes kind of. There's some tracks out in the road that he runs over, and people never think that that's scary in a movie. They're just like, well, let me go wander the town. So he gets picked up by a drifter who's like, hey, there's a closed down children's Chuck E. Cheese kind of place around the corner. So they bring him to the mechanic. The mechanic's like, it's going to be about $1,000. And then Nicolas Cage is like, here's my card. And the guy's like, we don't take cards. And then he's like, what about your ATM? And the guy's like, it's in the corner. And then you look in the corner and it's broken. And you're like, okay, this is a trap. And then he's like, if you want, I'll just give you the car fixed for free if you clean up Willy's Wonderland. So he goes there. And I believe, what is it? Like the sheriff of the town and the mechanic just lock the doors behind him into Willy's Wonderland, and he just gets right to work. I think the only thing they didn't describe was his background.
No, yeah. So I feel like they kind of, and very purposely, left that out because he is supposed to be like just this silent, badass drifter, you know?
I don't think he talks once in the movie, does he?
Nope. In fact, the funny part is I watched both this and Color Out of Space with my roommate, and Color Out of Space, you know, the first time you see Nick Cage, he says like, oh, hey, honey, how you doing? And like when he says that, I was like, he said more there than in the entirety of Willy's Wonderland. Literally, he doesn't say a single word in this movie. I don't think he like grunts or anything. He's just the badass silent drifter.
Do you think that's why the budget was allowed to be $8 million? Because like, it's like, you know, you don't have to pay somebody who doesn't talk and is just an extra in the background. Do you think that they were like, all right, Nicolas Cage, we can't pay you the $20 million. So we're going to have you not talk. We'll give you $2 million instead. He does not talk once. And the only things that they don't explain is every time his watch goes off, he drinks the energy drink and he plays a pinball game. And there's even scenes where like the kids are getting killed by the animatronics and he's about to save them. And then his watch goes off and he's like, I'll be right back. I'm going to go drink my
Which
energy
is
drink.
Fascinating because that was like confusing me at first. But then I understood that like he literally is this like, almost like a robot. It's funny because like, you know, he's fighting robots, but he is almost like a robot himself because he you know, his very actions, like he's there for a job. He knows he has to clean the place before morning to get his car fixed, so he's like sticking to a schedule. And even there's a great line when the boss is like, no, you know, he's like, don't forget to take breaks. And then he's constantly taking breaks. He's constantly, yeah, like you said, playing the pinball machine, drinking a punch. There's those like repeating shots where he just chugs a can of punch, crushes it, throws it in the trash.
Very and I've always wanted to recreate this in like a sketch video or just to kind of like practice editing, but it was very Aronofsky in Requiem for a Dream, where like every time his watch came off, it was like freezer, soda, open can, glug glug glug, pinball. And it was very Aronofsky whenever they're doing drugs in Requiem for a Dream. I mean, he really created that kind of quick montage, quick paced editing, and I've always loved seeing that in anything else. But yeah, that was the only unexplained part of the movie. But yeah, I mean, let's get into the I don't know why I keep saying folklore this episode. Let's get into the history of it, because there's literally a scene in it where the female cop played by Beth Grant, I mean Donnie Darko, Mindy Project, she's in Little Miss Sunshine, isn't she?
Yeah, Little Miss Sunshine. She's in Child's Play too.
Oh, cool.
Which I actually have to mention, she's awesome in that movie because she plays like a strict like second grade teacher. She's like, you know, by the rules. And it's funny because throughout like she's only in it for a little bit. She obviously gets killed by Chucky, and like it's funny because she gets killed by Chucky via a fucking ruler. He whips her to death with a ruler.
Really?
Yeah, and she's also in No Country for Old Men. She's awesome. I feel like every time I see her, I'm like, yo, that's our true character actor. Like she plays the role so thorough, and she's great in this too. She's really great.
She's not in Little Miss Sunshine. I think I was confusing that with Donnie Darko because she's at a pageant in Donnie Darko in that scene. So
true.
That's where I got it from. No, I remember first seeing Donnie Darko. She's very much like Anne O'Dowd to me, which at the Emmys, I'm happy that at least Handmaid's got nominated. But if I ever saw Anne O'Dowd in real life, like I would want to swear at her, because like she's such a phenomenal character actor who just plays terrible people. And it's just like, you know, if you met her in real life and she came up to you and was like, oh, thank you so much, thank you for watching, like, you'd be like, whoa, like, that's not who you are. Like, you're so good at acting. And just a side note, I just finished season 2 of Dave. And if you haven't watched Dave, it's the autobiography of Dave Bird, Little Dicky, and it's just brilliant and beautiful and heartbreaking and honest and raw and funny and disturbing and hilarious. Have you watched any of it?
No, you talked about that on the last episode, I want to say, but I so maybe Dave will be the next show I watch. Dave and maybe that Matt Reeves one, just to
Dave is also yeah, I mean, Dave, you would just yeah, I mean, the new Matt Reeves show is only 1 episode, so easy to catch up on. The thing about Dave is, like, there are parts of it that are so heartbreaking to watch. Mostly his like hype man and best friend Gata, who's a rapper as well on the show. Gata has a couple episodes that should be like Emmy nominated, especially from the first season, the shoe store episode. But Gata is very hard to watch, and you kind of go, is this what it's like for Gata in real life? I don't really know about Gata. I don't know any of this, but like, whether or not this is 100% fabricated and fictional, just the acting and the emotions and the rawness of that show really get you. And I mean, like, that's what I, you know, it's,
well, like I said, I watched those 2 clips from it, and I was so impressed.
Ones?
The prison scene one, and then there's one where it's like, it's literally just him with his 2 friends, and his friends like opening up about, like, you know, holding in emotion for so long, and like always trying to have this machismo, like uphold this kind of, like, you know, this tough guy persona, and then he like breaks down, and I was like, that's cool.
That was probably the Gate episode.
Yeah,
and
Little Dicky wasn't expecting that.
Little Dicky wrapped at the Emmys too. That show should be nominated for a lot. But yeah, so
oh, by the way, Beth Grant is in Little Miss Sunshine. I just checked.
She is. Oh, good. Okay.
And she's also in Rain Man, Speed, The Artist, Rango, Pearl Harbor, Southland. Wow. She is honestly one of the coolest, like, filmographies, I think. Like, literally.
I want her to be like my aunt. I have so many questions for her.
I know.
And she's just so good.
Maybe get her on the podcast one day. Shit. Like,
I'll see if she's on the Insta. Yeah, no, so this movie, she plays the sheriff in town, and there's kind of like a rookie on the police force, and basically there are kids going to burn down the Willy's Wonderland, but they don't want to burn it down with Nicolas Cage in there, so they go to get him out, and they all get trapped, and one by one, each of these animatronics, and I'm glad I didn't fully read the movie before I saw it, because I just read the description. It said possessed animatronics, and I don't know what else it could have been, but I'm glad I didn't read that, because I'm glad that the whole movie was a surprise and like what the history was, who these people were. Otherwise, I might have thought maybe it was just programmed animatronics or there was nothing to it. But basically the story is that there was this serial killer who wound up buying and taking ownership in Willy's Wonderland, and then just amassed a cult following who would come and work there. And there was kind of this like birthday party room where everybody who would go there would get slaughtered and never come out alive. And he wound up just basically recruiting these cult members. And as the police went to go and arrest them, they walked into the birthday party room, and they had done a kind of Jonestown massacre and all killed themselves as part of the cult. And then their souls were trapped in the animatronics. And over the next years, decade, whatever it was, the animatronics would leave Willy's Wonderland and go into town, go into school, and eat people. And the cops and the town people were like, listen, we will sacrifice people to you every couple days. Drifters, we'll send them in here. And you see it in the opening scene. You see a montage of how all these other people died. And they're like, here, we want you to be able to, you know, carry on, but leave our little poor town alone. And just all of that was like, and that's where like they show and tell, where it's like 10 years ago, we had a guy come in named Willie who took over the place. And like, as they're doing the voiceover, you're seeing everything happen. And it was reminds me of the scene in The Hug. I mean, it was very violent. Like,
yeah. And, you know, I like that they get to that pretty fast. Like they build up enough like suspicion and mystique about it a little bit, you know, like even when the character Tex, played by, who do I have here, Rick Reitz. So Tex is like the owner, and he's kind of like a cowboy looking dude, and he brings him in, and he's kind of talking to Nick Cage about like, oh, we just want to bring back, you know, the happiness, and that I want to see the child smiles when they're having the birthday party. He's talking about all that, as it's like juxtaposing with like really creepy images inside the facility. And then when they actually get to that, I like, again, how we said earlier, how they kind of just really lay it all down. You just really learn about this ritualistic endeavor, how people are not possessed in these bodies and they consume people to stay alive. And it's just a fun concept. And it's really well handled for the most part. I think, there are some things kind of left to be desired. I mean, well, one thing that the plot kind of reminded me of, and I just said it earlier, actually, I got the essence of, or the logic behind it kind of reminded me of Chucky. Because, like, the original Chucky, it's a serial killer that knows a ritual, and, like, before he gets caught by a cop, he puts his hand on like a Chucky doll, says the ritual, and then his soul's converted into Chucky's. So, like, that whole, like, concept kind of reminded me of that a little bit, too.
And you know what it also reminds you of? Don't forget the greatest horror movie trilogy of all time. Have you ever seen The Ginger Dead Man?
Heard of it, not seen it though.
I've seen the first one. Ready for the sequel names?
Yes.
Ginger Dead Man 2, Passion of the Crust.
Oh God, this is great.
Ginger Dead Man 3, Saturday Night Cleaver. So the first one I know is definitely Gary Busey, but yeah, Gary Busey plays a serial killer. I think the cops are coming for him. He hides out in a woman's house and turns into a killer gingerbread man. That is it. There's a Jack Frost horror movie.
Oh yeah,
do you remember that movie? Yeah. Very violent, a lot of icicles.
I actually remember when I was a kid.
Called Jack Frost.
I went to the video rental store. See, I know shit too. Back in the old days, and I remember I wanted to rent Jack Frost, the one with Michael Keaton.
Oh no!
Which is also kind of a scary movie too. And I remember I saw the cover for that other one, and funny enough, that original cover had a lenticular case. Where if you turn it, you see a happy snowman. You turn it, you see the scary snowman.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, here it is, Mom. And she's like, no, it's not that one. That movie's funny as fuck. I want to watch it.
I had a dream the other day that the video store I grew up going to was reopened. And oh man, it was the sweetest dream. I miss that, man. There's somebody who built a Blockbuster in their basement. I mean, if I ever got rich enough, I'd open like a movie store in my basement. I mean, I have enough DVDs for it, but yeah, I love that. And a lot of times people mention a movie that I've never seen. I say exactly this every time. Have you seen this movie? I have not, but I can picture exactly what the DVD or VHS case looks like. Because I remember my sister worked at the video store. I spent so much time there, and I could tell you like what every case looks like. That could be a game show right there. Like, what did the 1994 hit blah 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 have on its DVD case?
Oh yeah,
yeah. But yeah, this movie, I mean, super violent. Let's kind of break down the characters here. So the main one, the ostrich, that's Willie, right? He kind of sits in the back and doesn't do anything for most of the movie.
He's
not the ostrich. Yeah, he's not the.
Yeah,
giraffe?
I don't know what animal.
Giraffe?
No, isn't he like a what are those called? They're almost like what the fuck, weasels kind of. Yeah, right.
Emus.
I believe the weasel.
Emus. Okay.
Maybe,
Yep.
Yeah, maybe.
So you got the gorilla that gets urinal stomped. Then you have the alligator who just kind of eats people. I think that was the one thing I missed about the movie is like the Suicide Squad had the shark like literally picking up and eating people in it. Like they talked about eating in this, and you don't see a lot of eating.
See, I will say like one thing. I will say like the kills. The gory fight scenes are delightful. Like they're super bloody.
Yes.
Nick Cage goes crazy. Like you mentioned, he curb stomps the girl's face into a toilet. He like whacks the ostrich to death with these sticks, and like there's all this like crazy brutality. But I wish there was some more like variety. I will say to like the kills or like you said the gore in general. So yeah, I wish because there's all different types of animatronics, like I wish like you're right, the gator like picked someone up and ate him, or the gorilla like smashed his fist down and smashed someone's like a hand off, or I don't know, I wish there were more like particular like deaths that related to the actual character.
That's a good point. Yeah, it was very random. It was very much like whatever was there, that's what they used, or would just kind of like chop them up with a knife or something.
Yeah,
so you have
that is kind of where I think the budget kind of shows, where it's like clearly there are some more like amateur aspects of this movie, which for the most part are pretty charming, but like so I mean that's kind of one example. And
I love the like the lines of the movie. Like Nicolas Cage will just be like sweeping up the floor, and then you just hear like, "I'm gonna peck your eyes out, fucker!" And he turns around, the ostrich is just like standing there, and he's just. I guess they didn't explain this because I guess there was nothing to explain. But I think the most confusing part for me for the whole movie is like I was hoping like the one thing missing in this movie was there was a whole storyline between the woman that Nicolas Cage kind of saves in there, Liv Hawthorne, and her background with Beth Grant's character. There's so many stories, and it's just a great movie. But I think I kind of wish that Nicolas Cage had a story too. Like my family died here 20 years ago, and like he meant to get locked up there. He meant for the car to break down. Like it was just like, how is he so nonchalant about animatronics?
Well, see, that's I agree completely. Although I think what they were going for is like at the end, he's like he just walks out of there, holds out his hand like give me the keys, and then drives away like nothing happened. So like whatever he was doing before he stopped there, that's kind of like the mystery. Like what was his objective originally? Where was he going? Clearly that's more important than kill like everything that just fucking happened over that one night of him killing almost dying multiple times. So
and the amount of kids that died, and he's just like he literally like let kids die so he could go drink his Red Bull and play pinball. I mean, it's just like
he had no like conscience in this movie. But like I will say like it's Nicolas Cage, and like he knows how to play a silent badass type, and he's fun to watch in this movie.
He gets everybody killed in this movie because he just wouldn't leave the place because he wanted his car to be fixed. I mean, that's what it
like
came
literally
down to.
If he wanted to, if he himself tried hunting them down, this would have been like a 5-minute movie. He would have just hunted all of them.
He really waited. He really waited. I think one of the other things I missed about the movie was I was hoping that at the end the two guys were going to show up, the sheriff and other guy were going to show up, and they were going to be like, oh, he survived the night, and Nicolas Cage was going to look at them and go, I'm not cleaning up that last part. I wanted that to be the last line of the movie because the whole movie is Nicolas Cage cleaning up a room, and then he gets into a fight scene. He kills an animatronic. The animatronic's blood goes everywhere. His blood goes everywhere. And then the next 20 minutes are him squeegeeing all of the blood off of the posters and the tables and organizing the chairs. And just that's the whole movie is like he cleans the room. Then a friggin' bat animatronic shows up. They fight to the death. And they gotta clean this room again and then move on to the next one.
Yeah,
so what else?
He's totally unfazed by everything.
I'm saving my favorite one for last. And my favorite, I mean, I'm hiding the one I don't want to look at because it's going to give me nightmares. So you have the ostrich here. That's the turtle, right?
I think so, down there. Or some kind of bird. Another type of bird, maybe.
And then all the way over here, you have the two scariest. Where's the fairy?
Oh, the fairy's in this picture. The fairy is scary though.
If this one didn't, the frog, I believe, if that one didn't have the scene it did, I would have been fine with it. It's kind of a Land of the Lost-ish. I appreciate that. I'm still looking for the fairy. The fairy's got.
I don't think she's in that picture. If you're watching right now, his background is of the poster, basically.
Yeah. So the fairy. I want to say the fairy was a costume. I want to say some of these things.
Yeah,
were definitely costumes.
I could tell some scenes it was just an actor wearing the costume,
which is fine. I mean, it worked and all of that, and I like that. Yeah,
it kind of gave because the actor was moving robotically, and that again, even though you're aware of it, it's the fun of it. Where you can see the filmmaking and you're like, oh, this must have been really fun to be on set. Honestly, I would have loved to have been on this set. I feel like that would, because honestly,
that's why I still like DVDs. I know I can go on YouTube and watch behind the scenes, but like I would watch like a 10-hour making of this movie. No doubt. Yeah. You
can tell, they probably had some fun nights making this, and another thing that's interesting, I wrote this down immediately when it happened. I thought it was great because throughout the movie, the music is pretty it's pretty good for the most part. It's kind of like generic, like action-y horror type stuff. But they had one, I could tell they had one, they probably allocated some money for one properly licensed song. And that's Freebird. They played Freebird at the end when Nicolas Cage is walking out. And I just thought that was great. I thought it was so fitting. And quite literally, he's a free bird. He's leaving. He fought off everybody. But it's just a cool little send off to his character, I feel like. And
it's great.
Yeah.
I think that's what I liked about the ending is the two guys show up to be and one of them shows up peeling out in his car, and they're like, well, I got another car from a drifter that we sacrificed. And then Cage walks out, and neither of them are like, let's kill him. Let's not let him leave this town and tell people about what happened here. They're just so in shock that he survived. And he's like, keys? And they drop the keys, and he takes off, and the fairy kills the two guys, which I love. He takes off with the woman and gives her some of his energy drink. But I have to point out this scene. I'll learn one day which way to turn and point. This thing here was the frog. And there's a scene where one of the kids, and by kids we mean like teenagers, it's teenagers who break in. One of them is hiding in the arcade, I think in the Redemption Center. He's hiding, and let's see, I'm going to get it this first time. Nope. And the frog comes up to him. And because the animatronics were all people that wound up dying or mass suiciding, mass killing themselves, and then coming back as this, like that character goes over to the guy and is like, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not like the other ones. Like, I never want anything bad to happen. If you come out, I can tell you everything you want to know about the afterlife. I've seen the other side and come back from it. And like that scene was like, shit, man. I don't know if it's existentialism or what, but I mean, like, you really like go, oh wow, like these characters they've been alive on Earth as people. They've seen the afterlife. They've come back as possessed animatronics. Like, they know the secrets to our universe, our birth, our death, our afterlife. And that scene was super interesting. And of course, the guy winds up getting out from the Redemption Center. Frog wraps its tongue around him and snaps his neck. But you're kind of you're like, I'm curious about that too. Like, I mean, it was very hypnotic and very much like, I'll tell you everything and then I'll let you go. Like, I'll tell you all the secrets. And it's like, well, now I'm curious.
Secrets to life. Yeah, I mean, that is interesting because, again, like, we know from the backstory that, like, these were people. Yeah, so they were transferred into these beings. So, like, it's kind of cool. Like, the fact that there was a little bit of, like, existential thought coming from the character who, like, because clearly they're not just animatronics. Like, there's actual people technically, like, in them. So, like, possessing these animatronics. So, like, there's obviously more to it than just that. Which is cool. And then, I also like the last shot too, because it's just the janitor and Liv, the main girl that's in the beginning and tries to set the place on fire. It's just those two lost souls driving off to nowhere, I think that's kind of a cool little send off for both of those characters.
Very, very typical end of a horror movie in a good way. Is like
the
lone survivor, final girl getting in like not even their car and driving off into the sunset. And I don't even think that there was, the princess is still, or the fairy is still alive. She lights the car on fire of the sheriff and mechanic. So definitely sets it up for a sequel. I'm going to type it in right now. Willie, I want a video game.
Oh, that'd be fun. You could beat up and kill animatronics, and in your downtime you could play some pinball and
that sounds great. It sounds like
clean some tables. It could be like, I don't know, it could be like a mix of like Death Stranding and fucking, I don't even know.
That's two of my favorite things. So I'm totally on board. You haven't seen Mandy?
No, not yet.
There's apparently some theories of Willy's Wonderland being a sequel to Mandy. I wonder what that means.
Ooh.
But I'm typing in sequel on the Wikipedia page. In an interview, Geo Parsons stated he had an idea for a sequel if the film got enough support. In February 2021, it was announced that a sequel was being actively discussed. See also Banana Splits movie. That's the other horror one.
Banana Splits, yeah.
Yep, horror comedy movie. Serving as a horror reimagining of Hanna-Barbera's 1968 children's television series. I wonder what that one's about, because that I've seen the trailer for a few times. I think it's let me see. The film received mixed to positive reviews from critics, with praise for the performances and its plot, but with heavy criticism for the animatronics movements. So maybe, like you were saying, the people in the costume didn't move like animatronics. And I'm curious about this movie, because this one doesn't look like it's possessed people. It looks like just people who are killing.
Right.
People in a TV show.
I know that movie, like, it's based off like a kid's show that wasn't messed up. It was just a kid's show, and then they're like, no, let's make this a scary version of it, which is kind of cool. So I definitely maybe that'll be a future episode.
When is Barney gonna come out? When is the killer?
Yeah,
Barney
with Daniel Kaluuya in it.
Is that still happening?
I think so. Yeah. I don't think I ever saw anything about that not happening. So
I mean, how cool is that to like just be like that, like to be that successful that quick in your career, and then be like, hey, I'm gonna redo Barney. I liked Barney as a kid. I'm gonna redo that, and Hollywood's like, well, you're Daniel Kaluuya, so yeah.
Or even for him, it's like you're in all these movies, you're in Get Out, and then like even last year you play legendary Fred Hampton, and then you're like, now I'm gonna go be in Barney. Fuck it.
What was the Fred Hampton movie?
What was that movie called? The Judas something?
Oh, like, Judas and the Black Messiah.
Judas and the Black Messiah, which I haven't seen yet. Looks great.
Me either. With Lakeith Stanfield, who is this generation's one of the best actors, easily.
Oh, he's great. And also another great actor, what's his name? God. Kirsten Dunst's husband.
Jesse Plemons.
Goddamn it.
Is he in that too?
Yeah, he's in that.
Never been so jealous of somebody's career in life. When Candyman was playing and they played the trailer to Antlers.
Oh, that was so good.
I've now seen Free Guy, I've seen Old, I've seen The Suicide Squad. I've been waiting years for Antlers, and it just keeps getting pushed back.
I know, same. One of my friends showed me that trailer like 3 years ago, and I was like, oh, hell yeah, let's do this. And then, nope.
New Guillermo del Toro, and you're like, yep. And then the thing out of the water comes out, and you're like, this is the Guillermo del Toro I'm getting. Shape of Water, I've not seen. Didn't have big interest.
What do you think? You want to transition a little bit into Pig?
Well, so if I were to give this movie a rating, I'd probably give it like an 86. I'd give it a B.
Yes. Yes, in other words, yes.
No, this movie's doing well. I think it's at like 93 on Rotten Tomatoes. This movie's great. When I just Googled it, what was the movie that we did? What was the
Malignant?
No.
Cabin in the Woods?
No.
Oh, Psycho Gorman.
Psycho Gorman. When I Googled this to look up posters, Psycho Gorman pulled up, and I was like, yeah, I can definitely see some.
Yeah, this has a similar feel to Psycho Gorman for sure. Yeah. This again, great double feature. I'm sure that would make
good gore budget. Good gore budget.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, I agree. This is a really fun, well thought out effort. It's again, it gets to the point really fast. It doesn't waste time, and it's only like 88 minutes too, so it's like a nice quick little movie. And
it was hard this week to watch Nicolas Cage movies because some are 2 hours, some are an hour and 30. Yeah.
So like this one was just it knew what it was and it went with it, and it was all the better for it. So yeah, I was a big fan for sure. Even with some of my gripes, or I wish there was a little bit more to the action, or whatever. But fun movie. And yeah, so yeah, no, I think Pig. Another Nick Cage movie we both saw.
Well, I was gonna say, why don't we can end on Pigs? I know you and I both just really enjoyed it, but in between, let's talk about the Nicolas Cage career, and then let's talk about the 2 movies that you and I watched. The other one didn't watch, because we can speed through those real quick. If you were to name the top Nicolas Cage movies, top 2 or 3, what would you say?
Oh, that's a hard one. I'd probably say Bringing Out the Dead, maybe. That's one of them. Face Off.
I've never seen Face Off. There's a sequel coming out.
Oh, man. And I don't know. What's another one I really love? Because, actually, what's great? Bad Lieutenant. I think it's Bad Lieutenant, Port of New Orleans or something. Or I'll forget the subtitle to it. But yeah. So it's just funny because Bad Lieutenant, there's a Bad Lieutenant that was made in like 92 or something with Harvey Keitel, and then there was one made by Werner Herzog in 2009, I believe, and it has like no relation. I don't think it's like the same characters universe, but that movie, Nicolas Cage plays a like coked out detective, just totally off the walls, and he's played that kind of character multiple times, but in that movie he really gets to play just like an absolute piece of shit cop, and it's super fun to watch. And then Bringing Out the Dead is really great. I gotta watch that one again. That one's creepy. He plays a paramedic who works night shifts.
Oh, and I already like it. Where this is
you would love it. You would fucking love it. And the whole movie, I think the whole entire production was filmed at night. That's how legit they were. And he just starts losing his mind. Great movie. And then Face Off, John Woo, like crazy action movie. Him and Travolta are fantastic. But I mean,
need to see it.
Yeah, you definitely gotta see it. That could be a whole episode too. I mean, there are so many Cage movies that are just fantastic. And even if I don't know, it's funny because again, he's the kind of person that usually can elevate a movie just through his sheer performance. And like obviously there's other movies that have become well known over time for, whether for nostalgic factor or just, whatever, like something like National Treasure. Obviously, like both those movies are like well known and people seem to love them, as do I. I think they're both still really good movies.
Before we do Pig, I want to introduce everybody to a National Treasure game that my friend and I made up in high school. But before we do that, it might be cliche, and I guess I haven't seen a lot of Nicolas Cage movies, including I've not seen the animated Spider-Man movie from a few years ago. His Into the Spider-Verse. Yep, he's in Kick-Ass. I liked him in the Kick-Ass.
Oh, he's
movies.
awesome in Kick-Ass.
I remember his death being like very violent in I think the second one. For me, it's got to be Con Air and The Rock, most likely.
Oh yeah, Con Air's amazing.
Just classics. Gone in 60 Seconds. Great, like fun movie that we all like went to see in theaters as like high schoolers, and it was like one of the first movies we went out and saw on our own. Really enjoyed that one. National Treasure, of course. Wicker Man, I've only seen the last scene. Adaptation, that's a weird one, but a good one. So that'd be mine. So I want to show the audience my National Treasure game I used to play with my friend. So everybody makes the same jokes with National Treasure, but this is ours. You would take out a bill or a coin from your wallet, and then you'd name one thing, and then from there you'd wind up coming up with where you have to go for the next clue. So Tom, if you can just grab a couple things within reach, and one at a time, give me one word off of it. And Tom, can you just tell the audience as well that we have never met before, that this is not a plug, that we've not rehearsed this, and that this is the first time you and I have ever had an interaction before.
Yes. No.
I just finished America's Got Talent, so I like to pretend I'm a magician. No, Tom and I obviously have met once. This, but how many times?
Actually, no. Yeah, I think just once in person.
Once. Yeah. In person. Yeah.
Well, actually touching your flesh, like, yeah.
Smelling. I was like, oh, that's what Tom smells
Well,
like.
I just so happen to have a bill right here, if you can see it, because I don't think green screen's gonna fuck it up.
That's a 20. Okay, so all right, here's the game. Do you have other things within reach of you besides a bill?
I do actually.
All right, so start with the bill. Just pick a random word somewhere on the bill, and I'm going to tell you where we have to go next. And then after that, we'll do other objects within reach.
Federal.
It's been a while since I've played this game. Okay, I got it. Federal, Fed, Kevin Federline, Britney Spears, Fish, something's fishy up in here, DMX, Rap God, Eminem, Mars, Wrigley Field. We have to go to Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Damn.
give me another one. I got
okay, I'll try to hold up the item too so people can see. Extension cable. Got it. Okay. I need silence from the audience. Oh no, you just have to give me one random word from the extension, from the like the name of it. Or okay.
Like on a warning or like something, the name of the company who manufactured it.
All right, we'll do source.
Source?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Source of income. Money, dollars, cash rules everything around me. Wu-Tang, space, astronaut, Buzz Aldrin, Buzz your hair, Buzz cuts, Summer Sanders, figure it out, Nickelodeon, Orlando. We have to go to Orlando.
Okay.
Right,
So wait, the whole point you end it on a location? Like
yes. Yeah. Oh. That's where the next. So if we were playing right now and we were like, we have to get to the declaration, but where are we supposed to go for our next clue? This is where give me one more. Give me one more word from an object, and then that's where we'll have to get on our private jet to go to next.
Okay. Sequence.
As in like a sequence of events, or like sequins on a dress.
In this case, the board game sequence.
Sequence. Okay. God, these are really tough. We're good at this game.
Yeah.
Okay, sequence. Oh, that's a hard word now that I think about it. Okay. I got nothing. I'm trying to think of like a compound word. I know what a C is. What's a quince? What's a quince? You're stumping me. Give me a word off the box. Give me something off the box.
Strategy. What do you want me to give you? You want to give you a game? Like, give you easy ones?
No. Would you say strategy?
Strategy, yeah.
Okay, all right. I think I got it. It's 10 o'clock here, but at 10:30, I got this. Strategy, strategize, jize, guys, disguise, disc jockey, DJ Tanner, tanning bed, tanning salon, barber shop, Cedric, the entertainer, the Joker, Batman, I got this. Austin, Texas, because every day at like 5 or 6, everybody watches the bats fly out from underneath the bridge.
There you go. Little round of applause there. I like that.
Those were hard. Those were very hard. I think maybe back in the day, we just we learned all of the words that were on every bill, and we're able to easily do that. If you're listening to this episode, comment on one of our social media posts and give me a word, and I'll give you that. That's a game to play. So let's and I'm winded. When magicians like that really channel all of their energy and put it all into something, it really can.
You're a fucking wizard.
Yeah, I think after this, I might get probably cast for Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh shit! Yeah. Getting a revival.
Linda,
I like that.
Me and Linda be singing. Oh, that show's still on. That show's always on.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
But
all right, so Nicolas Cage. We did some of our favorites in between. So I watched Primal. You watched Color Out of Space. What did you think? Give me the synopsis. Give me the cast. Give me the do's and the don'ts. Would you recommend it?
I got the beats. So Color Out of Space, directed by Richard Stanley. This is a fascinating movie because it's I always hear it being described as Lovecraftian, and it is based off an H.P. Lovecraft story of pretty much the same name. And the movie has a pretty basic plot. It's about a family that moves to New England. I don't think they say specifically where in New England, but my guess probably somewhere in like New Hampshire, Vermont, because they're on Nick Cage's father's land. It was his home, his land. Now he owns it with his family. His name's Nathan Gardner in the movie. So when his family moved there, they want to get away from the hustle and bustle of the city life. They just want to enjoy a nice, more simple life. And then one day, a strange meteor, like this purple, bluish meteor, crashes down. And then from there, all hell breaks loose. It's some kind of like weird extraterrestrial kind of energy that's affecting the family in weird ways. And it's cool because kind of like Willy's Wonderland, it doesn't really take too much time to get to the point. And I mean, it for strange things to start happening, it does. But when they do happen, you're like, oh shit! I wrote in my notes because there's a little kid in the movie. He was in Did you watch the House on Haunted Hill show?
Oh, that's what he was from. I was just looking it up.
Yeah,
you're talking about Haunting of Hill House.
Haunting of Hill House. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So the little boy in that with the glasses, he's in this, and he's like a year or two older in this, but so he's like this cute little kid, and man, do they do him fucking dirty. So basically, like the meteor at one point, it starts leaching its energy, and the mother, as the kid's running away from it, the mother grabs the kid, and in doing so, they end up merging, like their bodies like merge together.
Really? Like in The Thing?
Yo, this movie reminds me of a lot of The Thing, because they're like the kid's face is on her back, and like he has all these like weird like orbs in his face, and he's screaming, and it's horrifying. It's actually like really horrifying.
Really?
Yeah, and
I feel like I don't want to talk about this anymore now. I want to watch it. No, keep going.
So anytime kids like are getting hurt in movies, it's hard as fuck to watch, and like this is no exception. Like this actually was really like crazy, but
apparently it is an H.P. Lovecraft story.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's based off pretty much of the same name, and so yeah, it's like this strange purple meteor, whatever it is, starts affecting the laws of nature and everything, and it starts again. Everything starts merging. There's these weird ass animals and creatures that stem from it. And it's cool because I just like how again you take something like a basic setup of a family moving away from the city, and then you contrast that with like this. You just drop in this crazy story, this crazy idea of a meteor and how it affects them, and all these these supernatural occurrences, like the kid merging with his mother, and then a bunch of other things too. Like but I thought it was well done for the most part. Again, as far as being fucked up, I thought like the first half of it felt kind of like it was cool. It was like a nice little mystery, had some like horror elements, but it was pretty like light for the most part, like nothing too dark. And then it just hits you at the end. Like the last half is like there's some really dark shit that happens, and a lot of unexpected stuff too. But Nick Cage, you know, again comparing this to Willy's Wonderland, he does talk in this. The cool thing is, you know, I wrote down how he even at this point in his career, he continues to prove how versatile he is as an actor. So like he goes from Willy's Wonderland, he's this silent drifter badass. And then, you know, he's kind of a humbled man of the earth and pig. And then in this movie, he's like a straight edged romantic, but then he ends up kind of like becoming crazy near the end because obviously he loses his wife and kids and he starts getting affected by the meteor. So like there's parts in this movie that are like quintessential like Cage moments. Like he's like punching the roof of his car, yelling "fuck, fuck, fuck," and he's just going crazy. There's moments like that in this that are just
wait.
Great.
Everybody dies in it?
Well, a lot of people die in it for sure.
Okay.
I don't say how much, but yeah, no, it was cool. It was another movie that I heard about like 2 years ago. I've been wanting to see it for a long time. I'm a fan of anything like any movie that's based off kind of like old like horror sci-fi elements, like anything based off like H.P. Lovecraft or Edgar Allan Poe. I'm all into. So it was cool for what it was, and again, to have to see another recent movie where Nick Cage gets to really go off is always a treat. So
So I have a couple questions. I'm trying not to spoil it for myself. Do you see the extraterrestrial in it? Is it a being? Is it a plant? Is it an alien? Like, or
it's a force. It's kind of like in the Thing where you never really see the being. It kind of takes root in other physical beings. That's kind of what this is too. It's just like a force, and then whoever gets caught in its web, strange, horrible, weird things keep happening. You know, so like,
is it kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
I mean, there might be some things you could relate to them, but not really. I would say it's more like The Thing. If I'm making direct comparisons to like a horror movie, and like there's even a crazy part in Nick Cage where he has a shotgun, he's unloading on these like weird like prairie dog creatures that they look like prairie dogs without any skin. It's really freaky, and like again, that scene reminded me of The Thing for sure, because it's like a nest of like, you know, immaculate, like just weirdly combined like prairie dog type things. It's crazy.
So it's not just him and his family in the barn. You're saying that the meteorite affects the animals in the woods and everything, and like it becomes like a shit show of them versus nature and everything else around them.
Yeah, exactly. So it affects nature too. It affects the plants. It affects the animals around them. So like that concept is really cool, and yeah, definitely I'd want to watch again for sure.
How is it visually? I mean, I don't know what kind of TV you have. Is this like a you should have seen it in theaters kind of movie, or?
Not necessarily. I mean, you know me. Any movie's gonna be good, especially good when you watch it in theaters. But you know, I mean, it look for the most part, it does look really good visually. I think it was also made on a pretty low budget, and considering that, I mean, there is some good CGI in this. Even there's a CGI dragonfly that looks really cool because it has the same kind of like crazy purple hue as the meteor. It gets affected by it, and it's like a close up of it too, and it still looks really good. They got the movements down right, which I think. When it comes to CGI like creatures, I think the movements is always kind of what like looks off. It looks too like cartoony or it looks too whatever. But this actually looked kind of real, surprisingly real. And yeah,
is it like The Mist at all?
A little bit. It honestly kind of reminds me of a lot of different movies. Like I can almost see elements of like The Thing, of The Mist, of The Mist, like kind of blending into it for sure. Yeah,
I've never seen The Mist. But that's cool. I know the end, and I've watched the ending scene on TV, and holy shit, is that a bad ending? Yeah. Probably one of the worst of any movie ever. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I remember I was so excited when that movie came out in like 2007 or whenever the fuck that came out.
How was it?
It was okay from what I remember. Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, but it was okay.
Yeah.
But what about Primal? How was Primal?
Yeah, so I probably should have watched Color Out of Space. Like I said, Primal was free on Hulu. I was watching in the background of work. It's a 2019 action thriller film directed by Nick Powell. It's got a good cast. Nicolas Cage, I don't know how to say this, Famke Janssen. Kevin Durand, who's just very good at playing very messed up people. Oh, wow. So he's in, what is he in? Butterfly Effect, Smokin' Aces. Love that movie and the sequel. X-Men, he plays the Blob. He's in Noah. He's good at playing dark and evil characters. Real Steel. Okay. Yeah. So basically, the synopsis here: Frank Walsh is a skilled big game hunter specializing in rare and dangerous species. He's recently caught an extremely rare white jaguar in the rainforests of Brazil illegally by tranking it while sitting on a wooden platform high above in a tree. His assistant refuses to help him move the animal because of local superstition. He now expects to sell it to a zoo for a fortune. He books a container ship to deliver the jaguar along with other animals to the U.S. As that's happening, U.S. Marshals are also transporting a political assassin and ex-special forces operative played by Durand. So basically you have a shipping cargo ship. So it's, a lot of, I guess, kind of like blue collar and people like that on the ship. It's not like a cruise ship or anything. And then you have those people working on it. And then you have Nicolas Cage with his birds and parrots and jaguars and snakes that he's bringing back. And then Famke Johnson plays one of the U.S. Marshals. And then you have Michael Imperioli from The Sopranos, who, what does he play in it? He's one of the kind of U.S. Marshals as well, I believe. Oh yeah, that's what it is. So Famke Johnson this is where it gets terribly written. They're like, why are we bringing him on a cargo ship? This like mass murderer who assassinated and killed a ton of people, this mercenary. And she's like, well, he had something in his brain and we can't have him fly because the altitude could mess with his brain. So we put him on the cargo ship. And then, of course, he's chained up and he winds up getting the guards to come over, kills the guards, takes over. So the whole entire movie is basically the people on the ship versus animals that got loose and this psychotic assassin. I mean, he kills everybody on the ship. I mean, there are very few survivors. He just goes around the ship killing everybody while Nicolas Cage is trying to round up the jaguar, the snakes and everything else. And I don't know what happened over these past few years, but there are so many movies. Megan Fox just did one. There's another one that looks good about a family who gets stranded on a safari. But like over the last few years, there's been so many movies with bad CGI cats.
Yeah, for some
Jaguars,
reason.
lions, tigers. I don't know what it is. I mean, you got The Hangover and you got Mike Tyson and a real tiger. Why do we have to do all CGI with these jaguars and stuff? I haven't seen the new Aladdin movie because why would I? But I imagine that's a CGI jaguar.
I haven't either. Man, I was like, when that came out, I was just so like disappointed. I was like, no. Like I love the original so much. So
I saw some news about a new Lion King live action sequel or prequel and was like, nope, that new one was terrible too. But yeah, so it's a fun movie. It's very fun. There's a lot of animals out on the loose, a lot of killing, a lot of that.
I like the cast a lot.
Yeah,
Kevin Durand is like great at being just like a creepy piece of shit. Honestly, like he's like in everything.
And that's what he is. I think they even reference it, but he's pretty much Hannibal Lecter on this cargo ship. He's trapped in this cage, and they're the two guards outside who are messing with him. And then, he pretends to have a seizure, and they call up Femke, and they're like, hey, Doc, like, what's happening? He's having the seizure you told us about. And she's like, get in the cage with him and make sure that he, and there's even like a line where I was like, man, they could really play off of this, where she's like, get in the cage. The cage is where he's at. And they say cage like 6 times. But, the two guards, of course, go in, and he's like, not a seizure. Kills both of them, takes their weapons, and runs out on the boat. So it's interesting. It's fun. It's an hour and a half, and that's why I watched it, because it's a quick hour and a half. It's silly. It's fun. The cast, you're kind of like, all right, why did they do this? Why did they do this movie? Yeah, it's fun because Nicolas Cage and Durand are kind of like not enemies. Durand's killing everybody in it. Everybody, all the marshals and everybody, and then like he's just killing, like, him and Nicolas Cage keep seeing each other and they're like, hey, like, I'm gonna play a game and kind of hunt you, because Nicolas Cage is the hunter. There's even a scene where Nicolas Cage says to Femke, he's like, I'm gonna go do what I do best, and she goes, what's that? And he's like, I'm going hunting. So it's it's kitschy. Probably didn't get a lot of great reviews. Let's see. Simon Abrams in his review for RogerEbert.com gave it 1.5 stars out of 4. So fun movie, very violent, some cool animals, funny parrot. Check it out if you got an hour and a half and you got.
I guess the only question I have is like, how do you think this ranks as far as like Cage's performance alone? Like, is like, where would you like rank this? And not even so much as like quality, but more or less like just being cagey. Like, oh man, like he's going wild, he's being wild. Like, does it?
Do you want to know what I would give it? I'd give it a solid C.
Oh man.
Crap. I sent you. Hold on. I sent you 2 clips from it. Let me listen back to them real quick because they were very Nicolas Cage lines.
Wait, when did you send them to me?
I sent them to you while I was watching it. One I sent you, the other. Yeah, okay, I sent you both. So okay, let me see. I don't know if we can.
I hunt animals for myself. Sell them as zoos.
My father was on the board of the San Diego Zoo for many years.
That's nice. Is it just me or is anybody else here?
I don't know if this is going to translate, but there's a scene in the beginning where he's at the cafeteria with the U.S. Marshals and the crew of the cargo ship and all of that. And he sells to zoos. And Femke Jensen's character, her dad used to work at the San Diego Zoo. So they're sitting at the table and she's like, oh, my dad used to work at the San Diego Zoo. And he just goes, that's nice. And then just changes the conversation. And it's just like, yeah, I guess it's some character development. Here's the next one. Let's see. Oh, so he winds up finding a parrot when he's hunting the jaguar, and he feeds the parrot, and now the parrot follows him around the whole time. It's kind of like LL Cool J in Deep Blue Sea. Remember his parrot throughout the movie?
Yeah.
It's like one of the best parts. So, all right, once again, probably can't hear it, but let's see.
Died, and I make the mistake of feeding it, and now I can't get rid of the goddamn thing.
Does he talk?
What's a cat say? What time is it? What do you think of this? Doesn't like guns.
He's smart.
Yeah. The regular Einstein.
Okay, that is a very Nicolas Cage scene. So he's on the boat. We can also maybe post these to our social. He's on the boat, and there's a kid on the boat whose dad works there, and he's like, "Tell me about the parrot." Nicolas Cage he's very nice to the kid. You can tell he's bothered, but he's like, "Yeah, I'll educate the kid." And the kid's like, "Can the bird talk?" And he goes up to the bird, and he's like, getting the bird to say different things. And then Nicolas Cage is carrying a flask around. He pulls out a gun, and the bird goes, "Take him out, take him out." And you're like, and I thought that was going to come into play when he takes Duran down at the end, but I don't think it did. But anyway, the kid goes, "That's a pretty smart bird." And Nicolas Cage sits down with his flask and just goes, "Yeah, a regular Einstein." And it was like I did it as Jim Carrey, but it was also very like,
that was kind of
somebody stop me. And then he sips it, and it was just like, so to answer your question, I don't think that Pig is just we'll get to that, a brilliant and beautiful film. And there's no joke to it or parody. It's not anything in itself. Color Out of Space looks like fun Nicolas Cage. What else did we watch and talk about? Willy's Wonderland is very Nicolas Cage. I feel like this movie tried. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think this movie tried to be, Michael Imperioli in it, like, right. It had a good cast, and I think that this movie, like, tried a little hard. And maybe he was having fun and being Nicolas Cage on it, or they were feeding him lines that were Nicolas Cage, but it wasn't very Nicolas Cage-ish. Of modern day. I think that, and I mean, you know the film industry way more than I do, but you act alongside Andy Serkis in a green screen outfit, and he has ping pong balls on him, and you have to pretend that he's a jaguar, and then the movie comes out and you go, oh, this is what the jaguar looks like in CGI. Like, come on, this looks like the cartoon from Aladdin. So, it's not always the actor's fault. It's not always the director's fault. It's not always the writer's fault. It's, you work with what you have. So it was fun, but I think Color Out of Space is probably much more recommended. And we said this last time in the episode, I believe, but be patient. So every Tuesday, new movies come out. You go to like Redbox on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday, new movies come out. If you've been in the movie theaters in the last 5 years, big movies don't come out on Fridays anymore. They come out on Thursdays, early release. A lot of movies come out Thursdays now. Fridays are when most movies get released in theaters. Anyway, video on demand, new movies come out Tuesdays. So I check every Tuesday what new movies are in theaters that I can rent for $7. What new movies are finally out to rent for $7. And you got to be patient. I've been wanting to watch Willy's Wonderland. We've been talking about doing an episode on it for like a couple months now.
Yeah.
And it was like $6, and then it was $3, and then I turned on Hulu, and there it is for free, Willy's Wonderland. So if you want to see a movie, wait a couple days, and it'll probably be for free on one of your paid streaming services. I actually just canceled Noom recently. I feel like I got out what I need to get out of it. I feel like I can use the free version for what I use it for. But I also canceled Noom so I can reallocate my budget to maybe another streaming service or two. Because I have... You cancel cable and you go, oh, I beat Xfinity. I don't pay $200 for 12 channels anymore. But now I'm paying for Paramount Plus, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Shudder, and of course... I don't pay for all of them. But what else do I have?
Wait, what did you mention earlier though? What was it called? You canceled? Noom.
Oh,
I thought it was for some reason when you said it, I thought you said Noovie, like the Marissa Menouno thing or whatever the hell that is.
What is it?
Yeah, like I remember, I don't know if this used to be like maybe like 5-10 years ago. I remember like, before even the trailers when you saw a movie, there would be like, like someone would do like trivia, like movie trivia.
Oh, yeah.
And like Marissa Menouno is like the fucking like boss of all that. So like I remember like I think Noovie's still a company.
Noovie, yeah.
Noovie,
the trivia, and I think you can pull out your phone and do like VR games and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
But yeah, no that's true. But yeah, should we jump the pig?
Let's do it.
Cool.
Do it. I'm excited. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. So Pig was great, and Pig was.
You watched it before I did too, and
yeah, I saw this months ago, back when it first came out in theaters, and I was very excited for it. I had no idea what it was about. So impressed with it, and I was super excited to hear your thoughts on it too.
Yeah, Tom and I have not talked about this yet because we like to do things kind of live on the podcast. I want to just start off saying that I liked picking your brain first about it.
Okay.
You didn't spoil anything. I just said, is this Keanu? Is it that Nicolas Cage loses his pig and just fucking kills everybody in town with a pen and just like, and just kills everybody? And you were like, nope, it's just a realistic movie of what happened if your cat got taken, but a pig. I mean, like, that's what I like about it.
I said, and I'm not the first to say this, but it's almost like the anti-John Wick. Because like, he gets something very personal to him, in this case, his pet pig stolen.
A loved one. His roommate, his best friend, he lives out in the middle of the woods.
His work companion, everybody. Yeah. And so once the son, he goes on this journey into, I think, Oregon. I think this takes place in Oregon. So maybe he's in Portland. That's the city he's in. And when
he's just outside of Portland. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So when he actually goes out of where he lives to the city, he goes on this quest to find the pig, and again, like if anything, he doesn't fight. He gets his ass kicked. Like he literally, like this one scene, where in order to receive information, he literally gets his ass kicked, and it's fascinating. But
that was the one scene I didn't understand is when he goes to the warehouse and the rich guy just beats him up and he doesn't even fight him. What is he there for? Just intel, was it? Or money to get intel?
Honestly, I don't know. I literally don't know, because like
it was a very random scene.
You know what? It was like a fighting ring. It was like a Fight Club kind of.
But it seemed like he put his hands behind his back, so it was clearly like where rich businessmen go to get their rocks off by just beating people to a pulp so they can feel more manly.
Yeah. So clearly like, that was some underground thing he was somehow a part of, or he knew someone there. So like he does that deliberately to get information. And if anything, I mean, there's so many layers to this movie, but one thing I got out of it was a lot of it was about sacrifice. So like, not only is like his pig technically sacrificed, but he sacrifices a lot himself to find the pig. Like he leaves his nice, comfy, woodsy retreat to go into a city, a place he does not like. you know,
and the only person he sees is Alex Wolff, who shows up every Thursday to take his truffles, because his pig is a truffle pig. He shows up, he takes his truffles, and then he walks away, and that's how it works. And that's their relationship. And Alex Wolff also tries to help him too. He's like, "Can I buy you an outdoor shower? Can I buy you a cell phone? Like you're giving me a lot of business here. Can I do something for you?" And pretty much nothing really works.
Yeah. And by the way, Alex Wolff is really great in this too. Like we talked about Alex Wolff a couple episodes ago because he was in Old, and just talking about how he's one of the better younger actors working today. But
I didn't know he was a Nickelodeon actor. I forgot about that.
I know. I always forget about that. And, because he's been in so much cool stuff now that it's like he's kind of separated from that, and
he's Rico from Hannah Montana.
Oh yes.
I met him at Sundance a few years ago. Very, very nice, friendly guy.
Alex Wolff?
No, Moises Arias. He played Rico on Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
He was like the comedic relief on it. He was just like the funny neighbor or whatever.
Yeah.
He is like one of the best indie actors today. I mean, King of Staten Island, Kings of Summer, beautiful kind of modern Stand By Me movie.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
He doesn't do a lot. He does movies every couple years, and he's just like very, very good. Monos came out 2 years ago. That was a big Oscar movie. I didn't see it, but yeah.
Yeah, one thing I really liked about Alex Wolff's character in this, I think his name's Amir in this, is like, his whole lifestyle, his whole being is so different, is so contrasted by that of Nick Cage, who is this almost like a hermit. He's living in the woods with his pig. All he does is collect mushrooms and lives out in the woods, does his own thing. Whereas Amir is big city guy. He wears nice suits. He has a nice car. He's so interested with his identity and especially with how people perceive him. Like throughout the whole movie, him just being with Nick Cage. I think his name's Rob in the movie. So Rob obviously he's a man of the woods. He dresses like he's like a hobo. And Alex, Amir mentions multiple times, like, hey, like, it's kind of hard to be seen with you. I can't just go into a restaurant with you because that will ruin my reputation. And that's a big theme in this movie, I feel like, about reputation, about other people's opinions of you, because this is a brilliant scene. And I've been so excited to hear your thoughts on this, Mikey. That scene I don't
want to talk about it yet.
What?
That's what I want to, that's the big part.
So I'll get to that in a sec then.
You talking the restaurant scene?
Yeah, with the actor's name is David Nell, and he plays Derek Chef Finway. So that's one of the greatest scenes out of any movie I've seen this year, straight up. Like
me too.
I love the quote. But before I get to that, I just want to say, like, yeah, so what's also great about this movie is there's so much good foreshadowing, and you don't really know much about Cage at first. All you know is, hey, he lives out here, he's collecting mushrooms, he sells them, that's how he makes his living. He's completely separated from the rest of the world, but you don't know why. And then you slowly get fed these little bits of information about who he was in his prior life. And you learn that, like, just like 5-10 years ago, he was like a world-renowned chef. Like he was like the biggest chef in the world.
Yeah, I think he's been in the woods for about 15 years.
And then one day he just left for, he snapped, something happened, and then he wanted to get away from the troubles of the world. So I just love more thought-provoking kind of existentialist movies like this, where you have someone like Rob, who questions everything and also understands that everything's meaningless. Like why are you spending all this time dressing yourself up in a certain way? Why are you spending so much time with people you don't like? It's all for nothing, and which brings me to that scene with the chef, where they go to a restaurant to talk to this chef that I forget if they're there. So yeah, I think they're just there to question him specifically, right, about where the pig is. And So basically, they leave the cabin, and Nicolas Cage is like, "Let's go," and Amir is very much like, "Nope, we're not going anywhere." And Rob is just like, "Get in the car. We're gonna get in your car." And what I liked about Alex Wolff a lot this movie are his mannerisms. He's always practicing what he's gonna say before he approaches someone. He's always fixing his hair, trying to look composed. Excuse me. You learn that his dad is also in the truffle farming business, but runs his own practice. And like, he really wants to impress his dad, be like his dad, be successful. He's very young and in this and all of that. And yeah, I mean, I would compare it to like watching an episode of Law and Order,
with John Wick, because the whole movie is them going to each place to get the clue, and then the next part of town, then they get a name and they go to the next part of town. But I think one of the things I liked about this, I didn't like No Country for Old Men. I saw it once. I should probably watch it again. I didn't like it because it was so boring and nothing happens, and then it just ends, and Tommy Lee Jones. And Tommy Lee Jones retires from being a cop and doesn't catch the bad guy. But that's what I always respected about that movie. It's just it's a literal, honest movie where you're just like, yep, sometimes that happens. Sometimes that's just how cases end and people retire. And that's what I liked about the movie, was how realistic it was.
So you're saying that sometimes that's just how it be?
Nice.
I define one way to fit that.
I didn't even set you up on that. That was good.
Good.
Nice. Yeah, no, I mean, No Country for Old Men, I think that's what I liked about this movie is it's not this giant, I'm going to go shove a ruler in somebody's heart and see where my pig is. It's just very much a very slow-paced movie where him and Alex Wolff go all around Portland and are like, have you seen my pig? Okay, what else can you tell me? All right, well, where do you buy your truffles from? And then they go to the next part. And I'm not selling it. It's a great movie. It's very, very good.
I know, it's like very like contemplative, like very methodical. Like you're right. It gives you a lot. Like because there's not like craziness going on, like him beating people up. There's a lot of time to just kind of reflect on what's happening. And again, because Nicolas Cage is so good in this, like you're able, like just watching him alone, like just seeing his mannerisms, just hearing and he talks a decent amount, but like it's very select words. He talks only when he really needs to. And just that alone, you gain so much from like what he has become. Because he went from, again, this renowned chef to now he's living in the woods and he wants nothing to do with people, and understands that like putting up these like facades, trying to pretend who you are is just such a waste of time. And again, that speaks to me. I think that speaks to most people, because it's like we're all trying to figure out who we are and whatnot. So it's like, and again, that scene with the chef, like they question him, they know who he is, and the chef recognizes him.
Let's get into the whole scene. Set it up.
So yeah, they go to this restaurant, and the restaurant itself is like I don't know what you'd call it, like a gastropub or something. So I forget. A type is obviously a type of cuisine where it's breaking things down and it's finding weird ways to serve food. Like they'll make like bubbles filled with rosemary smoke and all this kind of weird shit that you get in high-end restaurants, and that's what this chef owns, and he runs and operates it. So they go to that restaurant because they know he has direct knowledge of where the pig is,
and the restaurant too is one that Amir's dad sells to. So Amir's like, I can't get us a reservation. I don't want to get us a reservation. This is my dad's turf. And Rob is just like, get us a reservation. Like, we're going to go there. They get the reservation and sit down. And just from the start, Rob is looking at the menu just like, what is this? What's happened over the past 15 years? Which is probably not far from the truth. Is you're right. I mean, if you're a chef 10 years ago, you're making a big, well, not always, but you're making a big burger, a nice juicy steak. And now you go to a restaurant, it's $70 for a bubble that you pop, and a little bit of air comes out that smells like something, and people go, yep, I tasted it.
Yeah,
I tasted it.
All this stuff for like, we've made deconstructed mac and cheese, and it's like you have to first like I don't even know, milk the cow. I don't know. It's like you have these like these crazy, and I'm not even trying to put down like that kind of cuisine, but it's like the whole scene is set up where immediately Nicolas Cage is talking to the chef. He sees right through him. He's like, I know what you're doing, and I think so. Nicolas Cage actually taught him too. I believe back in the day, he was maybe a sous chef or someone working under him at one of Nicolas Cage restaurants. And Nicolas Cage has this whole monologue where he's like, I remember you wanted to open up a pub, like a bar, like a basic pub, bar and grill kind of thing. What happened? You're right. Like you said, why are you doing like all this? And I have the quote written down somewhere because it's one of my favorite quotes, And
to set it up, 15 years ago about this, Nicolas Cage, I think, was head chef, and this guy came in as a newbie, and Nicolas Cage fired him after 2 months because he kept burning all of the pasta. That's what it was. And the guy looked at Nicolas Cage and he's like, you're the chef, like not expecting him to remember him. And that's where you start to learn about Nicolas Cage's character's memory and how good he is with names and faces and food. He's like, I remember you. You always burn the pasta. And it's very nonchalant the way he puts it. Just like, I don't feel bad for firing you. Like you can perform well in my kitchen. But okay,
Right.
so, yes. You,
Right.
sorry,
Right.
You go.
This moment is probably one of the more, like, definitely the more standout, profound moments in the movie. But, and I can't obviously say his whole monologue verbatim, but Nick Cage basically goes on this whole has this monologue about how this chef, he's speaking directly to him, saying like, like what happened, like, you care so much about what other people think that you completely changed your life and your career. And he's not even really in like a like a disrespectful way, but he's really just kind of laying it into him, like, all these people, all these opinions, all these thoughts, all the critics, it's fake. It's all fake. And I love it. It's one of my, like I said, one of my favorite moments of any movie this year. And it spoke to me in a sense of like, yeah, like, in all aspects of life, whether it be your work, your family, your creative stuff, just be present and do your thing. Don't worry about external forces. Just don't worry about the opinions of others. Just go out there and do your own thing. And I can respect that.
It was kind of like the best, worst advice that he could have given somebody, because his character in the movie is honest. He says what he says. He has no filter, and it's not a bad thing. I mean, I think he gets a mirror to open up to his father, to stand up to his father, to change his ways. And yeah, that whole entire scene where they're eating lunch at the restaurant, the guy, the chef, his emotions changing is just,
yo, that actor too.
Yes.
You're right. He that actor, I've seen him in other stuff before, but his nervousness shines through his eyes, and he's like shaking in his seat, and he's trying he's like smiling constantly. He has that nervous smile. So good.
I think in a way, now that I think about it, it was the 5 stages of acceptance. Because he knew that Rob's character was right. And even, he said a pub would never survive here. A pub was not a good business option. This was financially responsible. And Rob's character was like, who gives a shit? Go out and try to open the pub. And I very much pictured, I don't need a movie, but I very much pictured a sequel where this guy opens the pub and is just happy. Even if it's not making the same amount of money, he's happy. He's working at a rundown pub that he bought out or whatever. But no, I mean, it was the 5 stages of acceptance. I mean, you see this guy kind of sit there and disregard Rob, because he's like, you used to be a hero. Nobody's heard of you in 15 years. Who are you? The whole scene is different here. And then that turns into the anger, the forgiveness, the bargaining, the this and that. I mean, he goes through those 5 stages of acceptance to realize that Rob is 100% correct, that he is telling him, like, you sold out, you did what a chef should never do. And like you said too, he said none of these people matter, none of this is real, which is just, have you ever seen the movie Burnt with Bradley Cooper?
Oh man, I forgot about that movie. No, I haven't seen it.
Phenomenal. I've seen it about 2 or 3 times now. It is so heavy and so hard to watch. But it's very much, it's about a chef in France. He plays a chef who's also a drug addict, and he's messed up a lot of relationships and burned a lot of bridges, and he's trying to go for another Michelin star. And this movie, it was similar in that way, where you really get to learn about what goes on behind the scene. I mean, I have so much respect for people working manufacturing, any manufacturing, whether you're a tech all the way up to a plant manager, whatever the hell you do at the plant. I've worked in manufacturing a lot, in recruiting, and hired a lot of these people, and I've visited the plants, and it's such a profession I have so much respect for. I also have so much respect for chefs. I think it's one of the most respectable careers that you could ever go into, because you are literally working your whole entire life while everybody else is out enjoying their life. I mean, you know, you're everybody's going out on Saturdays and Sundays and Fridays and weekends and nights, and you are spending your whole entire life in a hot kitchen. And I've worked in kitchens, I've worked in restaurants, and I've seen the angry chefs, and it makes sense because of all they're putting into it. And you know, you mess up a plate or drop a plate, that's their art.
It's a crazy like combination of like shit, it's like like you said, you're working in a hot kitchen, you're working with like sharp utensils, you have to manage a team and people
it's a science. It's a science.
Long hours, underpaid. Like I feel like the food industry, the entire restaurant industry, everyone's underpaid as fuck. So it's like
even the chef. If you're not working at a 5-star restaurant or hotel, I mean, yeah, you're not making much unless you're the owner and the chef, which can be definitely the case. But yeah, the job as chef, I mean, you spend your whole life there, and I mean, I don't cook, I don't bake, I'm trying to get into it more, but I've never understood the people. I had roommates back in the day. I never understood the people who would make an hour-long meal to eat it in 5 minutes. That was never like something I would, do. And I guess I never understood it. But yeah, that's what being a chef is. And you don't even get to see the reactions. That's the thing, is you create art, but then you don't even get to be there for the gallery opening to see people appreciate it. You just kind of stand in the back and watch people, try
like it seems like in most cases, the best you could really hope for is a customer saying amazing, like send my regards to the chef, and then the waiter being like, oh hey, this person said that your food, like that's probably the best thing you could really get.
And still, that's you're never gonna remember that as much as table 7 thought their steak was a little too rare, and it's just like, and you're like, all right, I'm so I mean, that's a lot of what this movie had to offer, is kind of the look into the hospitality and restaurant scene. But I also love the whole first half of the movie. Is like, truffles are so interesting to me. There's also a thing called bird nest soup. It's $1,000 soup that these people in some parts of the world climb to the highest part of a tree and take a bird nest, and then it gets like fried or cooked or whatever.
Oh wow!
And people spend like $1,000 on bird nests. Truffles, to me, probably because I don't appreciate mushrooms. Like, I don't enjoy eating them like mushrooms. Like, truffles
have
to
me.
Have
you had or anything truffle flavored?
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's super unique. Like I like it, but I don't know. I've only had so many variations of it. Like I remember I had truffle like potato chips, and honestly not that good.
I think I've had those.
Like they were like really funky tasting. But then I'm pretty sure one time I had truffles like shaved on. Like I went to like a good restaurant once and they actually shaved a little bit on top, and it was really good. But like, or no, it was truffle butter. It was like homemade truffle butter on like a steak. And it was good, but it's an acquired, like, funky, earthy taste for sure. Like mushrooms.
There's a scene in Billions, fantastic show. Succession comes back soon. Billions just came back. There's a great scene where Ira, one of Paul Giamatti's best friend, is out with his very young fiance, and he just lost a lot of money. And the chef comes over and is like, fresh truffle. And he's like, Ira, you always get the fresh truffle. And Ira goes, I'm good. And then he looks at the young fiance and she's like, ooh, truffles. Because I think to me, truffles are a status thing. I don't believe in my mind that anybody enjoys whiskey or bourbon. In my mind,
I actually like whiskey quite a bit.
Plenty of people do, but in my mind, because of how much I hate it, I'm like, people pretend so they can,
right.
People pretend to like it. That's how I feel about truffles. Is in the scene, they say when, and they put the truffles on the fiance's plate, and by the time they're done, it's like $1,300 or something.
Oh, they're ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, but that's the cool part of the movie is as the movie goes on, he learns more and more about where the pig is. But I love the scene where he goes up the mountain and he sees the woman and she's truffle hunting as well. And I forget the name of the pig, but she finds out the pig got taken, and she's like, let's go into Portland with a torch and let's go find your pig.
And that's a cool thing about the movie too. There is that like that dichotomy. Well, yeah, there's that dichotomy between these like hardworking people of the earth and like and people down in the city, and how maybe both don't quite understand what's going on. But like her reaction when she went from like get out of here to we're gonna go down there, like you said, with pitchforks, and like there's that like I don't know if I don't want to say class differences, but maybe class differences in a sense where you have maybe people in these like that make a lot of money who are very disconnected about how things actually are, how things are manufactured, how truffles are obtained, and then and like their reaction to, again, a pig, which most people would just say whatever, but in their case it's like, no, these are valuable, beautiful creatures, and I mean pigs honestly are kind of beautiful creatures too. They're very smart. They're very smart creatures.
They are one of the only pigs that would. They are one of the only animals that would eat you if they could or had to.
Or if they're hungry enough, starving. Yeah.
Oh, pigs are brilliant creatures too. I mean, they're very cool creatures. I love the people like the famous Instagram people who bought what they thought was a teacup pig, and then it grows to be like a 600-pound like potbelly pig. There's I think Esther the pig is the fun one to follow. They just
Esther,
they just live in a house with their dog siblings. But I love that part. I think if I were to put a review of this movie, we're not done yet. I still want to talk about the whole second half, but if I were to put this review into a movie, like when you're growing up and like you're one of my good friends growing up, her dad sells salt and travels all over the world and sells salt and makes a good living and travels. And I'm just now at this point in my age where I'm like, why did I not shadow him in high school? Why did I not intern with him? Why did I not like graduate from college and go right into working with him? He just travels the world and does very well and sells salt. And it's a great lucrative career. And I think if I could pull one thing from this is that if you're an introvert listening to our podcast, and I'm an introverted extrovert, I love people, I don't love people. If you're an introvert, because my dream life was always living in like New York half the year, Sun Valley, Idaho on a ranch the other half of the year. Like I love cities and busyness, and I love being away from everybody. So I think the thing I learned from this movie is like, why did nobody tell me in high school, Mikey, do you want to make a shit ton of money and live out in the middle of the woods and never have to deal with anybody? Pick up truffle hunting. It sounds like the most lucrative, like you could work in a busy office 80 hours a week and work in a cutthroat industry where you wear a suit and tie every day and it's, competing against other people for promotions. Or you can just fucking wear flannel and hang out in the woods and fucking find mushrooms, and somebody shows up with thousands of dollars each week and just drops them off on your cabin step. I mean,
I would love that, man. Truffle foraging, be fun.
Next week, this is going to become the Wheel podcast, and I'll be like, yeah, Tom was inspired. Yeah,
so Tom's in Idaho right now. Yeah, he's just
he's. I mean, it's super interesting to me. I mean, and just. I wouldn't know a truffle. You see them in the movie, and you're like, I would not recognize a truffle.
Because the exterior just looks like dirt, so it like
like a potato. So it'd be
so hard, my guess, to really like be able to track those down. And the crazy thing too, to kind of spoil the ending a little bit.
I want to get into the ending. I want to know your thoughts about the first time he visits Amir's father, but.
So Amir's father, by the way, is played by Adam Arkin, Alan Arkin's son, which is kind of cool.
Is it? I was wondering that with the Arkin. Okay. The name,
and so his father in the movie also kind of cutthroat. Like he's like, he even says to Nick Cage, they're speaking solo at one point. He's like, "Oh, my son, I'll probably just get him an office job." Like he almost like is like choosing his career for him or his life. It's like, "Oh, yeah, he's not meant for this industry. I'm gonna have him be in an office." And I hate hearing shit like that from a father figure or someone who's like, yeah, my son, like this is where he belongs. He's not made for anything else. Like that disappoints me when I hear that. And but again, Arkin's character is perfectly played. Like he's so good at being that like
stoic,
unflinching, uncharismatic, like uncaring father kind of figure who is like, no, only toughness is going to make you a man, is going to make you successful. And but you learn that he's obviously the one that tried to steal the. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
No, sorry. I just wanted to add the other interesting part of this movie is the guy is like the Scarface of truffles. I mean, Nicolas Cage's character Rob goes to his house and he lives in this beautiful house and he's obviously very wealthy. Even Alex Wolff is very wealthy, just starting in this career. And I thought that part was interesting too, to think that like in this country, in this world, there are like truffle empires. There are millionaires out there who are like,
oh yeah,
I hunt and sell truffles. Okay, but yeah.
So they go to his house and they find out, yes, he's the one who set everything up. He's the one who had the pig stolen. But we learned, because in the beginning, the pig is stolen by two like junkies, basically, like two nobodies. And they end up they accidentally kill the pig. So the pig is killed off screen. So this whole time that he's looking for the pig has already been dead the whole time. And again, obviously, Arkin is like super, like, you know, that's just the way it is. You know, that's just what happens. But yeah, it's fascinating just because. I don't know. You're right. That it's interesting to think that there are people that like have amazing homes and lifestyles based off these like truffle empires. And I remember even watching one at one point. I forget if it was on Chronicle or something, but it was like literally like or 60 Minutes. But it was talking about like how the truffle industry, especially like overseas, like it's like tied in with the mob too. Like there's like mob connections to it. Like people die over this kind of stuff too. So it's like it's really wild.
I mean, if and Pokemon has never gone away, but Pokemon made a comeback, and now you can't buy Pokemon cards anywhere. And like, I mean, people will buy like millions of dollars of Pokemon on like eBay and stuff. I mean, if Pokemon were a big enough industry, the mafia would get on board with that too. There'd be like, you know, FDA or you know, DEA, you know, hunting down people. I mean, that's the thing is whatever it makes lots of money is. People are going to be attracted to that. So I have a question for you about this movie is one, I think the restaurant scene is my favorite. Another scene that was just so genuine was when, Amir says, let us just get you another pig and we'll train you. You know, he wants to throw money at the problem. Oh, you lost the pig. I'll buy another pig. I'll buy another pig. And Rob's character says, you know, the pig can't hunt for truffles. And Amir's like, what are we doing this for? And Rob is like, anybody can find a truffle just by looking at how the trees breathe and how they move. So like you find out that the pig never was there to hunt truffles. Rob just always knew how to find them on his own, and the pig was just there as his company. And that's what he says is early in the movie, Amir says, what, did you fuck the pig? And Rob's character says like, no, we're just blah, 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 blah. And he says a bunch of stuff. Then he goes, and no, I don't fuck the pig. Like that line. Yeah. And then later on in the movie, he's like, I loved her, you know, like she was, I mean, people give me shit. I've had a pet mouse. I have a pet guinea pig. I always tell people, like, you know, if you got me an ant and put it in a little, remember those little ant?
Like ant farms?
Ant farms. And I named the ant and I watched it every day and I watched it grow. And like that ant died a year or two later. Like I'd be sad by it. I'm sad by anything that you name and live with. And that was Nicolas Cage's company. That was Rob's roommate and best friend and only companion, besides the guy who showed up to his house every week for a transaction. That was his only relationship with Amir. But my question for you, because I think I understood it, but basically he shows up to Amir's father's house and is like, I want my pig. And Amir's father is pretty much like, I'll give you 50,000. I'll give you 25,000. I'll give you this. Once again, wanting to throw money at it, implying I'm going to keep this pig. This pig is going to do for me what I want, you know, is going to make me even more money than I've ever had. And then, you know, it's that typical mafioso, like, I'm going to throw money at it. Oh, money doesn't work. All right, well, I'm going to threaten you. And he doesn't threaten Rob. He says, if I ever see you again, I'm going to chop this pig up into bacon. And you're like, damn, like Amir's father does not care at all about the pig. He just wants it for business. And then later on, Amir and Rob show up to the father's house. And so the whole backstory in the movie is that Rob lost his wife, and that's what he was listening to in his cabin in the beginning, is I think a voicemail from his wife. Lost his wife about 10 or 15 years ago. That's when he moved to the woods and stopped being a chef. And then you also find out that so who is it that Alex Wolff visited in the hospital?
His mother.
Okay, so she had not died yet, but she was dying, right?
I believe so, yeah. Yep.
Because I thought she had already died, and then he went to go visit somebody. So, yeah, so basically you learn in it that Amir's mother is about to die, so the father is dealing with that as well. And then Rob and Amir show up at the dad's house. I don't know, were they hiding in his kitchen? Or did they show up and they were like, hey, we're going to be here for a little while? And the dad was just like, cool. That's the only part I didn't understand in the movie. But basically, they show up and they make a meal, and basically, Rob remembers every meal he ever made for anybody. So he made a meal clearly that he had made for Amir's mom and dad about 15 years ago, maybe for an anniversary of their first date. And the dad tries the meal and immediately breaks down, and you see his vulnerable side. And he goes to the next room and he's drinking, and he's like, he's having wine in one room and hard alcohol, whiskey in the next room, and he's coping, and he's telling Rob to get out of there because he had just threatened Rob. He just threatened to pay him off and kill his pig, and now he's crying in front of him and he's vulnerable. And, Cage is connecting with him. He's like, I lost my wife, so like I know what you're going through, and like I wanted you to feel that. That's the art of food, is I want you to have that time machine to go back. I go to concerts because they're a time machine. I listen to all the same bands I listened to when I was a kid, and that's what he did. He made this food for the dad, and that's when the Amir's father tells him that the meth addicts mishandled the pig, and by the time the pig got to Amir's father, the pig just wound up dying. Just wasn't healthy enough, wasn't how it should have been taken care of. So, I mean, clearly what happened was Cage's character first shows up to Amir's house, and Amir's father knew that the pig was dead that first time around. He knew the pig didn't survive and couldn't face telling Rob that. He didn't want to tell him. He didn't want to tell him that, I had your pig taken and your pig got killed on my watch. So he's like, I'm going to pay it off and then just pretend that the pig's alive and happy with me. So, I mean, that was a good twist. That was very big twist to the movie where you're like, oh shit, like you just think, all right, because I didn't picture a third act to the movie. I like how it was done in chapters. After Rob and Amir leave the house after cooking the meal, is that what happens? Or after Rob leaves the house the first time, Amir's there, and Rob's like, listen, let's go here's a list of tools and people to go talk to. Let's go and get the pig back. And then it's like chapter 3, and I thought that's how the movie was going to end. I thought that was it. I thought that there was like, he has the pig, let's go see if we can get it back, and it was going to be a cliffhanger. But no, there's a whole third act to the movie where Amir goes to a funeral home to get a bottle of wine that Rob had left behind for this woman. And that's where you find out that Rob had lost his wife all those years ago.
Yep.
And that's where Amir starts to connect for him and feel for him. And that's just, I mean, the history in this movie too. And
again, they do it in such a smart way where you're slowly being fed these like bits of information about the past. And also too, when he makes that scene at the end, when he makes his Amir's father the dinner and he connects, like that scene is really fantastic. And it's kind of like, it's like a Ratatouille moment, basically. Like, literally, like he eats it and he just like thinks back, oh my God, like, this is the exact same thing I had with my wife at this beautiful dinner. Like, and it's so cool. What a movie.
And I think Amir's father wasn't really crying because of the wife necessarily. He was crying because he was taken back, but I think he was crying because he didn't want to tell Rob what happened. I mean, he's in the truffle business, and even though he's like just there for the money, I'm sure he's been around pigs enough to start a relationship and care for them and things like that. And he realizes that, in an effort to steal somebody's pig, he wound up getting them killed and didn't want to tell, the first time Rob shows up to Amir's father's house, he's stoic and threatening. And the next time he shows up, he's like, he sits through the whole meal, drinks the wine that he had on that date with his wife, and then has to suck it up and tell him, you just did all of this for me, and I got your pig killed. And it's just...
Again, the good, really good acting coming from Arkin, because, like, again, he's so good at being this, like, authority figure who's trying so hard not to showcase any emotion, like just to stand strong. But like, obviously throughout the course of these scenes, like he kind of does slowly break down and showcase more of that like emotional side, or like you said, him potentially even caring for the pig and actually like that being the reason he's kind of breaking down a little bit, not even because of the meal and reminding him of his wife, but or in general, just like a more broad concept of like, just as humans being able to kind of fall in love with anything, we can, even an animal, even it can't talk to us, we can obviously still form such tight relationships. So
yeah, I mean, I talk to spiders right now because of quarantine. It's
right.
It's quiet all the time. I'm afraid of spiders, but there's one that lives next to my mailbox, and I say hi when I walk by. There's a whole psychological experiment you could do. You could put a man or woman out in a cabin for 3 weeks and put them out there with a squirrel, and by that second week, they're gonna have formed a bond with the squirrel.
Oh, yeah.
Then you go into the cabin, you take the squirrel away, and they're like, no, like that was my only friend.
Oh,
Like
no, nutty, no. Yeah.
they know all my secrets. They know everything about me. Yeah, like you said, there was a lot of layers to this movie. I almost think that we fucked up. We fucked up. It's like I'm trying to. I think it would be like we talked about Eddie Murphy and Life and Mr. Church really hit me in the heartstrings. I think it would be like next week I have you watch Life and Mr. Church, and then I go, all right, Tom, I also want you to watch Norbit and the Nutty Professor too, but then still get all of the emotions out of Life and
right.
I think it was hard to watch such crazy Nicolas Cage movies and then go ahead and watch a movie like this where it's just
super profound and very well, again, I think the reason we chose these movies is, and prior, when we chose these movies, both of us hadn't even seen Willy's Wonderland. I hadn't seen Color Out of Space yet, but I wanted to choose recent movies that really exemplified his range of acting. So a Pig is very different from Willy's Wonderland. Willy's Wonderland is very different from Color Out of Space, and I'm sure that those are different from Primal. And all of them kind of showcase again why he still has range, why he's able to play these more complex, silent, downtrodden people, but also also play more wild, wacky people too. And yeah. So
it's a range. I could see this movie being nominated for something.
I would love to see get some Oscar love for sure.
Original screenplay or score or something. It's a beautiful movie, and I'll put it this way: it's not my kind of movie. It's really not. If you told me the whole movie, or you were like, "There's no action. It's just about two people driving through Portland trying to find out information," I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
What? But it's so good, and each scene, like you said, there's so much peeled back in this movie. It's just,
and
scene after scene tells you so much more about the characters.
Sure, at the end of the day, I might be more willing to watch again something more sci-fi heavy, horror heavy, action heavy, whatever the case may be, genre heavy, but it's so refreshing sometimes to just watch something that's more slow paced, meditative like this, and you just get to see a handful of actors just do their thing and showcase why they're so good.
And that's fair to say too, is I think I'd rather watch Willy's Wonderland again than Pig, but Pig is a better movie. It's how I feel about Scrubs is my favorite show. I think it's a great show, and there's so many great aspects to it. Is it better written than Breaking Bad? No, Breaking Bad's better written, but Scrubs I can watch any day of the week and turn on. Breaking Bad is an investment. It's an emotional roller coaster where Pig, I would watch it with other people who haven't seen it to like we were talking about, see them appreciate it, but I'd much rather watch Willy's Wonderland 10 times in a row before I watch Pig again. And that's not to say anything against Pig. It's a fucking beautiful movie, but it's just it's once you've seen it once, you're like, all right, and now I want to watch more by the director, more by the screenwriter, directed by Michael Samosky, and
also wrote it,
and Vanessa Block. Yep.
I don't know what else he did. I think this might be his first major feature, which is crazy because it's just that good. So I'm super excited to see what else he does in the future. And I guess kind of to wrap it up, any final words on all these movies, on Nicolas Cage in general?
I'm trying to look. It looks like he's done shorts and TV shows. Wow. That's, it's so cool when a movie like this comes out and you go, wait, they haven't done anything else? Well, they'll never have to not work. They'll never have to work for it again. You know what I'm saying? This director has probably had 10 screenplays delivered to his house in the past couple months. And he's probably has an agent who's banging down his door saying, what's your next project? Hollywood wants it. I don't give a shit what it is. Just let's get it. Let's get it made. Let's start getting it. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's like always my dream is just to, you have that one thing that takes off and you're like, you know what? I struggled for a while and now I don't have to go to anybody ever again. They're always going to come to me because I made this one thing.
Right,
That's crazy. What would I say to suggest? So I would suggest this. One nice thing is Amazon Prime has everything. I always forget that, like, if I rent something on my Amazon Fire TV, I can watch it on my laptop while I'm working. It's on my iPad. It's on my phone. So everything's on Amazon Fire. But, hop on Hulu, hop on Netflix. If you're doing a movie podcast or you're trying to do a Ryan Gosling movie marathon or something, just type in the name into all your different streaming services. There's a lot of options that are included in your paid service. I mean, Color Out of Space. Color Out of Space is included in Amazon Prime.
No, you'd have to rent it, but at the moment it's like $1.99 if you have a membership.
Oh no, sorry, AMC Plus. I pay for AMC Plus so I can watch Walking Dead. So I typed in Color Out of Space or talked in my remote. It said this is free with Amazon with AMC.
Wait, I have AMC Plus, so
yeah.
Damn it, I gave my money to Jeff Bezos again. Fuck. Which, by the way, we've already talked about it a million times, but AMC A Plus is like one of the greatest. If you love movies, that's one of the greatest. Like,
is it good? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have it. Didn't you say you have it? AMC A Plus.
I use it for The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead.
Oh, but you can see 3 movies a week, right? AMC and.
Oh no, I'm talking about the channel.
The other channel. The other AMC, yes.
Yeah. No, on the AMC app, you can go to the movies 3 times.
Okay.
But then you can also stream on the app as well. I'm talking about like the AMC TV channel.
Yeah.
That's how you can watch
Walking
Color
Dead,
Out of
Breaking
Space.
Bad. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so just in general, like, but the AMC like theater chain, like their subscription service is dope because 12 movies a month for like $25 is.
If you go to 2 movies, you break even. And I mean, I went to see Candyman and I got due to Coca-Cola bottle caps, I got some stuff, and then just being an AMC member, I got a free soda, a free popcorn, and a free extra ticket.
Oh, hell yeah.
They call it a black ticket. It's a free ticket to anything. So yeah, I mean the apps are great. On your birthday, sign up before your birthday. You go and get free large popcorn and soda for your birthday.
Yep, and like every certain amount of points, you get a $5 reward thing, and you get free large popcorn and drink refills, like just a bunch of stuff.
I went with someone, and she, to no surprise, did not like how I put salt and butter on my popcorn. I drench it. So she said she asked for this is a tip at movie theaters. Sometimes they're dicks about it, but at the movie theater, ask for a taco box or a to-go box.
Oh yeah.
And then you can pour half the popcorn into there and do your own salt and butter that way. We did that, and the guy behind the counter just gave the large popcorn and said, "Do you want me to refill that for you?" So literally got a large popcorn, emptied about a third of it into another container, and he goes, let me top that off for you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
When you're leaving the theater, you can ask for a top off and then just walk right out. I mean, and they have the Coca-Cola freestyle machines.
Oh yeah, those are fun.
I want one in my house.
The best. I remember I used to work at Wendy's. Right when I started working at Wendy's in 2011, they started implementing those in the stores. Those were like crazy to change because like all the drink flavors are basically like in giant ink cartridges. It's like they look like giant ink cartridges. Yeah, so it'll just say Coca-Cola, cherry flavoring, vanilla flavoring, and then in the back room it was just a tower of all like the sugar. It was like basically boxes of liquid sugar like glucose and shit, and then it would just feed into the machine. And there you go.
I was gonna say, do you have horror stories that will make me not want to drink them anymore? Because that would be good to hear. I don't want to drink them anymore.
No horror stories. I do remember one time because the boxes were really heavy. So one time I like hoisted it up, like that, and the floor was slippy. So I slipped back, almost like cartoon style. Like I slipped on my back, but like I was like in the air, and then just like boosh, like crashed down, and the thing fell on my chest, and it hurt so bad. But like I was more embarrassed, so like I got up really fast, and nobody saw it. Nobody saw it.
Oh wait, all right. Before we go, I have a couple questions for you.
Yes.
How fat did you get working at Wendy's?
Well, I'm lucky. Like, see, I've never in my life had to deal with weight gain like at all. Like I've been the same weight for like 10 years. I just said I'm lucky this first.
Wait till you're 30, man. The best quote is Big
Dude,
Daddy.
let
Back
it
in the
happen.
day, I could eat anything. Now I have a milkshake and my ass jiggles for a week.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So how much did you eat when you worked there? Were you just sick of it and you're like, I know how it's made. This is gross.
I had a decent amount because actually Wendy's is like a little better. They fresh never frozen beef. All that
Wendy's
kind of
is my favorite. Their French fries with sea salt, their pretzel buns, man. Their son of the Baconator. Fuck, I got an ad earlier too for Wendy's delivery.
Oh, Baconator is like one of the greatest sandwiches.
I live 12 minutes from Wendy's now, and when I was out in Colorado, I lived like half a mile, and I'm just like, I literally said I will never move into another place again, not checking a proximity of a Wendy's before.
No, Wendy's is legit, and but yeah, I used to eat a decent amount. Like I remember, especially when I did breakfast, because I'd be there at like 4 a.m. And like right before we had the big rush, I'd have like 30 minutes where like nothing was really going on. Manager might be in the back, or they just wouldn't care. So I'd make myself like a breakfast panini, and like obviously I would take French fries and chicken nuggets and all that, of course. Like, or if I made a Baconator, I'd put like 8 slices like per layer. Like, 'cause why not? Like, it's fucking Wendy's. Like,
wow,
I have access to it.
You must have a fantastic metabolism to not have gained any weight. How long did you work there for?
Like 2 years.
Was that college?
Yeah, it was like end of high school, early college. I worked there.
How often a week? How often were you there?
Like 3 or 4 days a week.
Like full hours?
Well, I was working maybe like 28 to 30 hours. Maybe sometimes more. It all depended. Like, especially in the summer, sometimes they'd allow me to work more, but they'd have to get like clearance because, if you work more than that, they have to give you benefits, and companies can't do that, because that'd be like too beneficial.
Yeah, then they won't be able to buy an extra yacht. I guess my problem with fast food now is I like getting Happy Meals. I actually have a couple of Happy Meal Marvel Avengers toys from McDonald's. You don't see them anymore. Like when you go into a Wendy's, they used to have a display of the boys' toys, the girls' toys.
Yeah.
Like I literally will order a Happy Meal if I am interested in the toys, but I never know. Like when you work there, could you just like go into the toy box and be like, cool.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I don't remember Wendy's even having like that cool of toys though. I feel like McDonald's and Burger King had the better toys and still do.
Yeah.
And McDonald's, because I think McDonald's still like showcases at some locations. They'll have like a display case.
I always look when I pull up into the drive-thru. Let me give you all a piece of advice. And I have a son. He's almost 1, so he's not Happy Meal age anyway. But I don't even need to pretend. One of my pieces of life advice: do anything with confidence, and nobody will question you. If you're in a city, I do this in Boston a lot. If you're in a city and you have to go to the bathroom, walk into a very nice hotel like you were staying there. Walk past the front desk and go to the restroom that is in the hotel and make a 1 or a 2 and walk right out of the hotel. Yeah. Same with the Happy Meal. Walk into a McDonald's, I'll have a Happy Meal. You don't have to say, oh, my kid's in the car. I have a kid I'm bringing this to. Walk in, go, I'll take a Happy Meal, please. Extra fries and the apple juice. The apple juice is terrible. Order that, and then they'll just give it to you, and you can walk out of there and go, I just got a Happy Meal, and I'm not a kid.
That's actually sound advice, because it works. Like I've done stuff like that before, and it works. And also, like I remember I was listening to some podcast, and somebody was talking about that, and they literally were like, yeah, like walk into any bit, like if you're trying to walk into a place where like random people are not supposed to be, don't walk in there and be like, look, just walk in there like chest out, just fucking walk, and no one, chances are no one will ever question you.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah, excuse me, you questioning me? Get the fuck out of here.
I ate here 11 years ago. I'm allowed to use your restroom.
Yeah, I'm an alumni.
That's interesting. One of my best friends from college worked at McDonald's. She has a lot of good stories. If I worked there during the Monopoly, oh man, I would have stolen everything.
Yeah. Good times. Tomorrow, it's a hard job. Like fast food, man, I give those people credit. They, it's gonna be tricky, but it's fun. When you're with a good team of people, and it's a lot of fun. Oops.
I just typed in. Oh, okay. So I typed in Wendy's toys. If you go on their website, they have a Wendy's.com/current kids meal toys. I think another reason, completely honestly, I think another reason that they no longer advertise their toys is because growing up, it was very much like, these are our boys' toys. They're trucks from Transformers. These are our girls' toys. They're Polly Pockets. if you have a daughter who's ordering, we will give her a girl's toy. I think that's how it was when we were growing up.
Yeah.
And now that is such a changed thing now. It's no longer like, boys toys. If you have a baby boy, you can go and say, hey, I want the girls' toys today. And like, I think that they, now just kind of, it's just one grouping of toys. It's just kind of like, that's the kind of the way they're doing it. So the Wendy's toys right now are Super Identity. They look like knockoff Transformers. I'll say I'm not old enough to have grown up with Cracker Jacks necessarily, but I grew up eating them. And at least when I was a kid, you would get toys in the Cracker Jacks. You would get straight up toys, and now you open it and it's a sticker with a VR QR code, and you just go, oh, like that's it. It's just a QR code. And it's kind of shitty. I'm looking right now. It looks like McDonald's is doing a 50th anniversary of McDonald's, of Disney World. Oh. So they have Lion King, Coco, Frozen, Groot. Oh man, I want to collect all of these.
Oh, so you're making a McDonald's run soon?
I do like McDonald's a lot more. Their burgers and fries really stepped up their game, man. I used to hate everything. And it looks like
I still fuck with McDonald's. I think they're their regular cheeseburgers pretty.
Their fries have gotten great. So it looks like Burger King gives you their whole schedule. So back in February, they have videos too. They're giving away Mario, and it looks like right now the Crudes. This is a very old schedule. Wait, let me see if I scroll to the bottom. Burger King gives you like a allfastfoodtoys.com. It gives you the schedule of what they're going to be giving away for toys. Nintendo themed toys at Burger King. That was back in February. Damn, I missed out. But yeah. Now when you open a Cracker Jacks, it's not even worth it because they're like, hey, download our app and we'll give you a toy on the app. And you're like,
yeah, it's just not the same. Although I will say, I'm looking at the new McDonald's toys. These are fucking cool.
Which ones? The Transformer kind of things?
No, the 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
Dude, those look cool because like the little stage they're on. We were just talking about. They have a little. It's a little lenticular thing.
Oh, it is. Wait. Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. Watch one of the videos. Oops, keep knocking over my mic. That's kind of cool.
I'm looking at Donald.
So fourth podcast idea, we can do it all about kids fucking Happy Meal toys. Which honestly, that could be a good podcast.
It would be. It would probably get picked up by BuzzFeed.
I know, right? Yeah.
McDonald's last year for like 3 days re-released a collection of classic Happy Meal toys. Let me just Google it. This is what I love about Google. McDonald's classic toys. So they did this, let me see, last year. Yep, here it is. It's exactly right here. And I remember not knowing about it till like the last second. And even the one that was near me wasn't doing it, but they did one Space Jam, one Power Rangers, one Furby, one Mickey Mouse, one Tamagotchi, one Beanie Baby, Platypus Duck, and then one of the McDonald's Transformers. It'd be like a French fry that turns into a creature. But yeah. They had that I think last year.
That's cool.
If I this is why I'm not rich and why I don't deserve to ever have money. If I won the lottery, I would go on eBay and just buy like every unopened. And that's why if I were you and I worked there at that place, I mean, right now, if I go to McDonald's and I get one of the Disney World ones, there's 50 of them. And I'll probably open it and get like a slug from a Disney movie that went straight to DVD. Like, I want to work at McDonald's and be like, Donald, boom, taking it home.
I know. Well, I mean, look, they even have like this, they have like C-3PO and like Star Wars characters too. Or not C-3PO, they have R2-D2 and like, it's pretty cool. That's a cool idea. And it's kind of crazy how like they have like, you can literally get 50 different kinds too. That's pretty crazy.
I'm going tomorrow. I'm definitely going tomorrow. Boom.
Sponsor us, McDonald's.
Yeah, you got the money. McDonald's. Sorry, listeners. I swear, we'll be fun when we post this. As we talked about Nicolas Cage and Happy Meal toys. McDonald's Happy Meal toys will soon look very different. I'm starting to get nervous. This is going to be something about recycled plastic or something.
I know, it's like, sorry kids, now you only get agave straws with your meal. Like, that's all you get.
Oh my god, that'd be awful. Let's see. I don't know. I'm trying to.
No, it'd be a good idea. if they
environmental concerns.
Yeah, of course. I was gonna say it'd be kind of cool if for toys they, for the sake of being environmentally friendly, they use recycled plastics, and they made like say like it was like a Disney sponsored kid meal, and it was like recycled plastic, and it was like what is it called when you fold origami kind of? But it's like easy origami, but you can basically like form it into like a little like character like from a movie.
That's what the Cracker Jack shit was. You would open it up and it would be like
yeah, you're right.
Oh, sorry, I gotta say one funny thing. Do you know the Kinder eggs?
Yes.
Like, do you remember Wonder Balls back in the day?
Oh, yes, I do. Definitely remember those.
Do you want to hear something hilarious?
Of course.
America is one of the only countries in the whole entire world that you can no longer put the toys directly in the candy. Like, you go to other countries and you open the chocolate ball and the toys right in the chocolate ball. America is one of the only countries where we have to like open it and then it's like, this is a pouch for the toy. This is the chocolate ball, because people probably were swallowing the toys and suing the companies. So we are the like only country in the world where we have to.
This little toy, this little candy looks like a toy.
We have to separate the toys from the candy.
That's
but
bad.
Now
Man.
I want a Wonder Ball. I want a Bueno.
Yeah, Wonder Balls are great. I was so hyped when I got those as a kid. Oh my god.
Yeah. I remember getting Bueno bars, and I got a little Super Mario coin, which was Bowser. It was kind of cool, but I want toys. I want like little race cars and stuff. I don't know. We're just getting on an old pedestal right now. This episode
so this is now our longest episode for sure.
It's gotta be. I was telling Tom this is my favorite. Even like 20 minutes in, this is my favorite episode. We should be back next week. Next week starts October. Well, I think we're fitting in one more in September, maybe, depending on your move. That doesn't have to be horror themed. And then October. Right. We're going to line up some horror, and we're going to get some guests for October. Definitely going to get some guests. Maybe Jamie Lee Curtis. We'll ask if she wants to do a Halloween episode.
Oh, for sure.
I want to plug one thing. Not at all a sponsor. Mile High Horror Film Festival is a film festival I went to in Colorado quite 2 times back in the day. And I saw Tobin Bell, who played Jigsaw. I watched the original Texas Chainsaw with the cast member who did a Q&A after. Tons of great people have been to it. I was so sad leaving Colorado, not going to it anymore. It is going to be virtual this year. So check it out. Mile High, MHHFF.com. You can buy passes now, and they're going to be releasing the lineup pretty soon. But yeah, it's going to be virtual. You can buy independent tickets. I am so excited for it. You're going to see the classic movies, and then you're going to see movies before they hit theaters. There'll probably be live Q&As. It is so recommended. It's such a cool event. And one day, hopefully, Tom and I can present there.
Oh yeah, Meth Gators, baby. Let's go.
All right, everybody, thank you for listening. Find us on social media. We're either the Weiliotis Podcast or Weiliotis Podcast, and of course, do not forget to check us out on all of our streaming platforms. Let's get our download numbers up.
Yes, help us out with that, please. We appreciate it. Again, appreciate the support. And if you do want to find kind of a directory of like everywhere we are, go to our website, www.theweiliotispodcast.com. We appreciate it, guys, as always. This was super fun, Mikey. So, yeah, signing out. Peace.
Yes, it was. Thank you. Bye.